right, so last week we did our, annual Christmas episode. Every time we come around to the holidays, we get festive and we rank the top 30 players in the NBA. It's a yearly tradition for us. But we have another yearly tradition at this point. For our New Year's episode, the one that comes out right before the turn of the calendar, we talk about every single NBA team's biggest question they have to answer in 2025. And that's what we're doing today.
Woo! I'm still a note over last episode. We got Christmas presents, and I got the worst Christmas present. The holiday spirit has left me, and it's carried on, and I'm not feeling good.
Today's the start of Kwanzaa.
Isn't the best,
you know you're happy. You're happy. This is what you do.
The start of Kwanzaa is crazy. Dude, the comments were hilarious in last week's episode because, dude, you played it up so much for how sad you were. People in the comments were like, I think Mo's actually sad. I think you actually ruined his Christmas. I think you actually give him a gift after this.
They're right.
And I'm looking at these comments. I'm like, this motherfucker gave me a framed picture of me bald, and you think he has the audacity to be actually upset? Shut up. He's fine.
No, I actually am, because compared to last Christmas, you gave me actual useful things. You gave me rat poisoning, bro. You gave me a bald Giannis photo, bro. This is an iconic, sentimental moment of our friendship and TD3 history for all of us, bro. And then
all this living in the past. Listen, man, this episode isn't about living in the past. This episode's about the opposite. We're looking forward to the next season. We're going to talk about every single NBA team. If you click this video, you're a fan of the Trailblazers, the Warriors, the Lakers, whoever it may be. We're going to talk about your team. We're going to talk about their, I would call it a big picture question, but it's not just that. It's really for the remainder of this season, if they're a contender, if they have, a relevant game plan for how to finish out this year, and going forward, the rebuilding team. Just whatever it is, whatever their timeline is, the one question that really defines what's most important for them.
Oh my God, I just realized this is our last podcast episode for the year 2024. That's ridiculous. It's crazy.
You just, that's the whole framing of this intro, and you just not realize that.
No, this is the last time I'm talking to y'all in the year 2024. That's so crazy.
I'm one underwear change away from the 2025.
This is the last time that they get to like a podcast episode. This is the last time that they get to 5-star rate a podcast episode in the year 2024. Y'all take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, man. Run up those numbers on Spotify for us. We're still growing. We're still top 20 right now in sports podcasts. I'd like to hit top 10 on Spotify if you guys can do it for us. You can run those reviews, run those plays, watch the video there, all that. YouTube, you guys know. Drop a like, subscribe, all that, yada, yada, yada. Let's start talking about the future.
The cranium is crazy. Oh my God.
I mean, I really don't know what to say.
Crayon eaters, rejoice.
Let's start with what word do I use to describe this team?
Ass.
A team that is in the news and is interesting. We'll call them that. Let's start with the Golden State Warriors. That's the first team on my list. You guys know how it goes. We each have 10 teams. For the Warriors, the one big question that defines their 2025, I just wrote LOL. That's all I put because I knew what I would say in the moment. I didn't have to write down and take notes. The biggest question the Warriors have, I put it in the thumbnail because it's the same question as last year. Is this team done? That's the question they have to answer. Is the reign of dominance for the past 12 years under Steph Curry, next to Draymond Green, under Steve Kerr, is that done? It's the same question we had this episode last year. So I ran back the same exact thumbnail concept because they're in the same exact place as they were last season. They started off hot. We gave them their credit. We thought they may have proved us wrong. They became a top 2 seed in the West. We were like, damn, maybe we were wrong to doubt them and say they'd be a play-in range team or even worse. And since then, they've gone 4-11 in the last 15 games. They once again look like they have all the same issues they had last year. The young core still isn't picking up the steam they wanted to. They still don't have a second star. Steph Curry actually looks a little bit worse than he did last year. All these problems of their whole 2-timeline system, of all the eggs they put in these young players' baskets, are still here. So I ask you guys, are they cooked? Can they salvage the year? That's my question.
They've been cooked.
Beyond cooked. Deep fried.
You asked this question last year and we gave you the same answer last year, which was, they're cooked. That's the same reason why we came into the year thinking that they were going to be 10, 11, maybe even 12, in the Western Conference, because we didn't believe that they would be competent. And you look back and you look at 2022 and it's such wow, I can't believe that everything lined up so perfectly so that the Warriors could go out and get that chip And like they got a healthy season from Otto Porter in 2022. That never happens, right? You got the best year of Andrew Wiggins' career. It never happens for the first 8-9 years of his career. And now you're starting to see, like, from the moment the Draymond punch went down, it was over, right? Because all the internal chemistry was done. You've seen them. They had to go get a young piece that they believed in Jordan Poole. He had to get out of there. You bring Chris Paul, lost him for nothing, all this stuff. So you've seen piece by piece, brick by brick, the house of the Golden State Warriors being torn down. And yeah, like they're done. They're not winning another championship. If it's like championship or done, they are done. And
you're betting against the field over the next 5 years.
I don't know why. Like, I feel like not enough fans have given the Warriors front office and not nearly enough shit. Like, everyone knows, like, yeah, this 2-timeline thing that you mentioned earlier, Isaac, is completely done. It's a timeline of like nightmares. There's no real way out of it. The way out of it was a couple years ago, when you had guys like Jordan Poole clearly thriving, even though he didn't perform necessarily well in the playoffs. He helped them get to that point back in the year 2022. Now, you go ahead, you settle in, you invest in those players or whatever, things don't work out. It's been over a year since we knew, like, Jonathan Kuminga necessarily won't be that guy on this team. And Pods is Pods, whatever role player. And you see what happened with James Wiseman. We see what happens with all the other guys, and what they do this offseason is they try to supplement that with the depth that the Warriors fans have at the early of the season. They got into your mind and they basically manipulated you, Isaac, into believing like, this
they were playing well. They were manipulated. They were playing well.
Y'all manipulated into shit.
They were winning games. They were good.
You should have saw through the facade.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point in time,
we can give them credit. They were defending extremely well, and Buddy Hield was playing amazing. We came up here and we said we don't expect them to keep playing amazing, but they were showing things that they're a more respectable team than we thought they could be. I didn't come up here and say they're going to be the championship team. I said they might be a 4 or 5 seed. We owe them that, I think, to at least give them credit for what they were doing.
And now,
now we know. Now we can be honest.
Now we are who they thought they were. And to Mo, like you talk about that front office. There was only one way out, and Bob Myers took it. He's like, I'm just not going to work here anymore. I want to go be on TV. Like that's the only thing. They were in such a bad position with the state of the roster, the Klay Thompson decision looming, and obviously like Bob Myers not wanting to be the one to be like, Klay, like you kind of got to go. That situation kind of had to handle itself out and work itself out naturally. And he saw the writing on the wall 2 years ago. We see it right now. This team is it's not going anywhere.
You mentioned that not enough people have given the Warriors front office shit for this. This is the main reason I want to talk about them, because you cannot be more wrong about that right now. I am plugged into Warriors Twitter, and these motherfuckers are having a meltdown. They are ready to attack wherever Joe Lacob is. They look past ownership. They look past Mike Dunleavy. They look past all the other guys involved in that team, and they look at the ownership there, because the whole 2 timelines thing is because of him and his desires. He famously is the reason they picked James Wiseman. He loved him. And he has insisted from the jump that he has a vision of 2 timelines, of being such a light years ahead owner that, yes, we built this team with Steph Curry. We have our greatest player of all time. We went on with him. I'm going to use him as a catalyst to do something no other ownership group has ever done before. Extend it into another championship window.
That man was high up the finest psychedelics. Holy shit.
For sure. He thought he was God. He thought he was a genius. And like that was his passion project to do that.
It worked.
And Warriors fans are currently on the timeline freaking out. It didn't work though. Here's the thing. Warriors fans are going crazy right now, and I agree with them. It did not work. They stumbled into 2022 and got lucky as hell. They won that championship in a year they didn't expect to be contenders whatsoever. Nobody before that year was expecting them to come back after the tumultuous 2021 season and be back on top. We didn't have the podcast at the time to be doing preseason rankings. If we did, I guarantee you we wouldn't have picked them to be a top 2 seed, and damn sure wouldn't have picked them to win a championship. And they got lucky because what you said, Otto Porter won, all this stuff. They didn't win because of 2 timelines. The rookies didn't fucking play in the playoffs. They happened to have the first timeline get another championship. And after that, what'd they do? They didn't say, okay, the first timeline still has a chance to keep winning. We're going to keep on tearing it down, keep on building towards the second timeline, and see if we can make these young guys be the next step. And we didn't hate it at the time, because when you win a championship, that cures all. We can convince ourselves, yeah, you're right. Surely Kuminga will become better. Surely yada, 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 yada will work in your favor because you just won and you've given us proof of concept. But that was lucky as hell. And since then, they've done nothing to really win now around Steph when he showed he clearly is still capable in 2022. And they just kept going down this hill, kept investing more and more in these young guys, not really doing any win now moves. And it brings us to where you are now, where the second timeline is not good.
Yeah. Okay, but is it not good because they made a mistake? Like, ultimately, how many championships qualifies as a success for an era? Because if you get one, is that good for the next 3 years, for the next 5 years? Like, surely you can't be so delusional. I know that Warriors fans are like, that they are delusional and that they were spoiled with KD and Steph and all that. So they expected to be either in the finals or win a chip every single year. But you got a championship on the front end. Does that mean that the entire experiment is a failure? No.
Yes.
And no.
You said the front end. It's not the front end. It's the back end of the first timeline. Those rookies had not shit to do with the first one. Jordan Poole had a good playoff run.
That's what I'm saying. And
Jordan
Poole
had nothing to do with it.
But Jordan Poole, even you look around the league and you look at young cores, you're not going to have all four of players in young cores pop. Normally, what you want to do is you have 4 or 5 guys. Let's see if we can get 1 or 2 of them to pop. Jordan Poole was the one who was looking like he was going to pop. And then Draymond Green punched him in the face going into the title defense. So, like, they never even got a real opportunity for that team to see the full extent of what 2 timelines were, because the title defense, where everything was supposed to be happy, everybody just got paid, Wiggins got paid, all that stuff went straight out the window. Andrew Wiggins had a whole bunch of stuff off the court that tore all of that stuff down. Like, I can't put it all on Joe Lacob and say like, oh
yes, you can.
He was. I can't say that. There was a lot of stuff that's not in his control. Whatever was happening with Wiggs is not in his control. Whatever happened with Draymond, that's not in his control.
Yes.
Jordan Poole is not part of the 2 timelines thing, though. He was a late first round pick. They are lucky he became good. The point was Kuminga, Wiseman, Moody. Who else was in the lottery? Those picks were the main guys that were really building around, because those are the ones that were potentially going to get traded for win now players. Jordan Poole was additive. That's great.
He was drafted back in 2019. He's part of that, like, that Steph whatever era still, you know.
But you can't. But
the point was you could trade Kuminga and Wiseman from their picks for win now players, or draft them to 2 timelines. They could have had Poole and traded those guys for win now players.
But it's unfair. It's unfair to look at anything good that happened, like whether Poole was drafted 7th overall or 17th overall. It's unfair to say, yeah, the 17th overall pick, that is, you do not get credit for that. That's not a 2 timeline thing. You just got lucky, rather than, okay, like, good for you guys for finding value at the 17th pick. And if your 7th overall pick didn't work out, hey, you take shots and you miss them. There's been plenty of times where late lottery picks have played better than the early lottery picks, and that's fine. But it's just, I think that it's unfair to look at ownership in that sense and be like, yeah, 2 timelines was never going to work. It literally got us into the first championship that, like, of whatever the new era was.
How though?
You're missing the point entirely. Go ahead.
My thing is, like, it did not get him into that first championship in 2022 of that new era, because those guys haven't, like, and none of those guys that you mentioned have anything to do with it. The James Wisemans, the Kumingas of the world had no actual real contribution to that championship whatsoever. It was all the old guys. Iguodala was still playing basketball. Andrew Wiggins was literally the saving grace of that team. People were talking about, they almost wanted to give that man finals MVP. It was this new era, this new wave. The trades that got Andrew Wiggins there, aka D'Lo back in the day, was a part of the reason why that's that second timeline right there.
They have Wiggins because of Kevin Durant leaving. Like, that's part of that original thing. They drafted Poole way before that. When you talk about 2 timelines, it's not just these years. It's the asset use. Literally, you had the number 2 pick and the number 7 pick that you could have traded for win now players. You still would have had Poole. You still would have got Podziemski eventually, whatever. We're not saying don't have any young guys. The point isn't young guys versus no young guys. It's these specific trades that they could have made, everybody wanted them to make, that they said, no, we're not going to invest back into this first timeline because we want to play towards the future. Again, if it would have worked, we would all look back and say, galaxy brain shit, good job. Maybe it would have if they'd have picked LaMelo Ball or Tyrese Halliburton, whoever that may be, end of the day, it was also bad drafting. But how many times have you ever seen a team have a player like Steph Curry that is still in win now mode? You still have Draymond Green, yada yada, and they don't go all in for him.
And you stumble into 3 lottery picks in 2 years. Like, that's insanely rare, and we witnessed like generational mismanagement of assets. You know?
Yeah.
Hey man,
that's what's a mismanaged part. That's the damning part
but
about.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna go out and
shut up. What do you
no,
mean? Joe
no,
perfect?
No, I'm saying nobody's going to go out and hit on every single draft pick. You're not going to have 100% success on every pick, whether you are drafting consistently in the top 3 or consistently in the middle of the lottery or whatever. You are going to have all of that. And again, my question is, does a championship on the front end say, like, does that make whatever era a failure?
No, again, it's not on the front
success?
end. It's on the back end of the first one. That's the point. It's not on the front end of anything. It's the back end of the last guys. If the young guys are in here, part of the second
this
era,
is the back
the
end.
first ship.
This is the right now. This is the back end. You had 2 years off, and in today's NBA, 2 years, you are in a completely new era. A completely new era.
Not really, though. I mean, again, we talk about the players involved and the system they're playing and who matters. It's really not a new era. Like, they had that down part. I know what you're saying, but practically speaking, I understand what you're talking about. That's a new era, like, narratively. But if you think about the actual players that came in and changed things, those guys, they're rookies. They have no ability to contribute to a championship team. So, like, that first year when they're literal rookies and not playing at all is not, you can't give them credit for them being the reason they won or having any impact at all. You know
you are saying that the new era only starts in 2022. That, like, new timeline.
Whatever line, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
It does.
The players part of the second
matter.
timeline did not lead to winning at all.
It does matter because if you are making that line at 2019, right, or at 2020, and all of those picks, if you're talking about like the Jordan Poole pick, and I'm specifically focusing on that. If you are considering Jordan Poole a part of whatever young core, could he have been one of the older young guys? Yes, but if he is a part of that core, then that is a second timeline that you have now started.
I think,
whether
when it comes to this timeline conversation,
whether or not you're like 5 years down the timeline,
where
you
the
got a
timeline
championship.
starts, the new timeline starts when they got that ass bounced out of the play-in by the Memphis Grizzlies back in 2023. That's when you're like, okay, you look at your roster, we need to make some change happen. And that's when this new era begins. That's when you start to look at these young guys like Kuminga and, okay, like, we're going to do with James Wiseman and whatnot. That's when you're like, okay, what can we get out of this? How can we retool this roster so we can get back towards the top of contention? That's the area. That 5-6 month span in the offseason is where they messed up, and that's where the new era generation of Warriors basketball starts. And that's where they overly invested into some of their young guys and declined to make trades for a Miles Turner or Pascal Siakam last year like we wanted. That's where there's like actual
and they got a
mismanagement
chip 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago at this point. Like,
you have Steph Curry, it doesn't matter.
Okay, the point isn't to litigate this part. The semantics about what is and isn't the first and second timeline is irrelevant. We're arguing about nothing. Either way, it didn't work. They invested in guys and did a roster construction around Steph Curry that was malpractice. And apparently you're just a Joe Lacob super fan. This is I'm just saying, first of all, relax.
I can't believe you said no one's perfect, guys. Relax.
What I'm saying is that you and both of you guys have fallen into whatever delusion that Warriors fans have pulled you into, and they think that they should be winning championships every single year. And I'm saying you just got a championship 3 years ago. That is a success. And now you feel like, has there been mismanagement? Yes. But it's the same thing how you can look at the Lakers era. And was there mismanagement? Obviously. But guess what? You got a championship on the front end. Overall, that is still
utilization.
Overall, that is still a successful era of Lakers basketball. But you got a championship. Unless you want to say, unless you go in and say you have to win 2 to be successful for like Lakers standards. If that is your point of view, then yes, then it's a failure. But for the Warriors,
this is like saying is a Zeke Naji pick a good pick because the Nuggets won a championship with him on the roster? No, he was irrelevant to that. Just like Wiseman was, just like Kuminga was, just like every young player that isn't the 2 weeks where Jordan Poole was going crazy. It is irrelevant to why they won the championship. So it's irrelevant to point it out as why.
But there is no guarantee that if you take that second overall pick, you could have did a trade to go bring in somebody, and then that player gets hurt, and then now you don't win a championship. There's other.
It's about giving yourself the best opportunity to win, and their GM just simply didn't do that in this end of the season.
If we're saying the Wiseman pick was successful because they dodged a worse situation, like sure, we can do this hypotheticals forever, but it's very clear those picks did not lead to impact at all and brought them to where they are today. Again, part of it is hindsight. If the pick landed, if they pick LaMelo, then it's different. But they did not, and it's a much safer, easier bet that you could imagine leading to sustained excellence for your greatest player of all time. Go ahead.
Even if they pick LaMelo, there's no guarantee that it works out there either.
I agree, which is why they should have traded those picks. Looking back, it's very clear that the 2 timeline thing, they should have just maximized Steph Curry's era, like every Warriors fan is saying. That's the point. I don't like we're arguing about something. That's not the point. We're getting caught up in semantics.
Welcome to TD3, man.
We got caught up in defending.
This is what we do.
Anyways, we ended up doing a big, deep ass retrospective about why the 2 timelines thing didn't work and what is the second timeline. But again, we're looking forward now. What can they do to save this? Is there anything they can do to save this? Like, what are you doing if you're the Warriors?
Okay, if you're the Warriors, you have to understand what got you so successful at the end or at the start of the season. They were an elite defense. Offense was starting to come around a little bit, but that's not where they hung their hat necessarily. Rotation's amazing. The way Draymond was playing, he was looking like he was the fucking defensive player of the year. Over the last 15 games, they've plummeted. I think they're the 15th or 16th defense over the last 15 games. Over the last 15 games as well, offensively, they're a pile of shit. They're like 24th. You know, they got even worse on both ends of that 4. So you need to hone in on that defense and find out ways to realign things. And in my mind, okay, I love Andrew Wiggins, great player defensively, does all the right things. He just had somewhat of a bounce back year. Okay, Andrew Wiggins, as much as I love your game, I think the obvious is right there. We need to go ahead and move off of him and get someone like Jimmy Butler who gives us a greater opportunity to balance out both ends of the floor and just raise our ceiling when it comes to contention.
I don't think they have to trade Wiggins. It's kind of unfortunate that he's the only avenue to upgrade.
Yeah,
he's been very good. So the way you said it makes I think people would hear that and say like, we don't have to trade Wiggins. He's not a problem. But if he's your only money that gives you an avenue to get something new,
you have to.
You might have to spin those dice and roll those dice and try to get Jimmy Butler and see what happens. Like they are stuck in a place where they have very little flexibility, very little upside. Kuminga is not playing as the two-way star they need him to play as. They've changed their roster construction from the beginning of the season. Kyle Anderson doesn't play anymore. He got buried. Melton's obviously injured. We got in Schroeder now, who will give him time to adjust. Hasn't been pretty the first few days. It's just tough to imagine they'd get to a point where they're actually capable of winning a championship. Maybe they'll be competent again. They'll get back to how they were early in the season. But like Donovan said, if the 2 options are you can win a chip or you're done, how can you say they're not done?
No, it's over. It's a wrap.
It's over. But someone like Steph Curry at least deserves to like not go out this sad with how much value he injected into this organization, just fucking branding. He deserves to go out at least thinking that he has a chance, you know?
Thinking he has a chance. Yeah, we owe Steph Curry the chance to
the chance to hope.
Exactly.
Steph Curry needs a dream.
Feed him a little delusion.
Oh man, okay. So yeah, I guess the question is, are the Warriors done? Probably. And again, they're one of those organizations you don't want to write off because they've managed to get competent again, but over the past few years, their eras of competency last like 2.5 weeks, and then they're back to being mid.
Damn, take me back to those first like 8 games of Buddy Hield, bro. Those were the times. He's averaging like 18, 19, shooting like 47% from the 3-point line. Those are times.
All right, well, that's 24 minutes on the Golden State Warriors and their failure to reload around Steph Curry and do right by their greatest player of all time. Warriors fans, I'm sure you have many thoughts about that conversation. Let us know. Donovan, who's your next team?
I got to regroup real quick.
Did you wake up today and expect to be defending Joe Lacob for 20 minutes?
It's not even like that, man. It's just the principle.
It is like apparently
it's just the principle of the thing. That's it. Listen, we have talked a lot about the New York Knicks, and obviously we're coming off of a game where my brother, my twin, Mikal Bridges, dropped 40 in the Garden on Christmas. And listen, my question for them is just very simple. And it's the same question that I have been asking all year long, which is, can you stop anybody from getting to the paint? That's really it, right? Obviously, Cat is the big, and you're eventually going to get Mitchell Robinson back. Precious Achiuwa is there now. But Cat is going to play major minutes. That's just how Tibbs rolls. Now, with that comes a lot of fouls. Cat was in foul trouble again yesterday, got 5 fouls pretty early. And if OG and Mikal and Josh Hart, if all these guys are not stopping these guys from getting to the rim whenever they want, then you are putting Cat in a lot of conflict constantly, and you're giving up a lot of points. And in the playoffs, when you're playing against really, really good teams who have dynamic guards who can get to the rim, who have bigs, who have some touch and some finish around the rim, that's going to be an issue. And your offense has to be at 100%, clicking at 100%. And it gives you very little margin of error. Is that something that they will be able to make any type of move? Is Mitchell Robinson going to solve that? Are you going to be able to play these two big lineups with Mitchell Robinson and Cat and get more to like, Minnesota defense from last year? Is that going to be something that you're able to do? We'll see. But that is a major, major piece for the Knicks if they want to get to a true championship ceiling and improve their defense.
I 110% agree. That can Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns coexist on the defensive end? It will be like the saving grace, and that'll make me look at you guys in a higher light. Yeah. Now, will that actually happen? I don't know, but I feel if that's what it's gonna take, then I'll be okay with placing in that bet, because other than that, like, you guys are pretty much like stainless, spotless when it comes to how your roster is and how you've been performing. I think last year one of the biggest like pain points for you guys was seeing how bad y'all were without Jalen Brunson on the court. And that's just not the case this year. Deuce McBride doing his thing, and offensively, you guys have been holding water and not just as good with Jalen Brunson, obviously, but that's not a pain point whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good that you make the point that this is about winning a championship, because they're going to be a very good regular season team, like we all thought they'd be. And, Cat's PR is on top of the world right now. People are talking about him, like, in our comments, like, when we talk about the top 10 players in the world, they're like, where's Cat? There's occasionally comments about stuff like that.
It's that New York boost.
He's been so dominant. Yeah, and obviously a New York boost. That's just, like, a casual viewpoint, which is fine. But he and the Knicks deserve this credit for what they've done from a regular season perspective. This offense is going to get them lots of wins in the Eastern Conference. We know that. But we also know the playoffs is a very different environment. And last year, Jalen Brunson went absolutely berserk, and he was able to make them have a pretty good run off of ridiculous play. I think he's clearly shown he's going to be a great playoff player. But do we expect him to average like 40 points highly efficiently every single playoff run? No, that's a lot to ask. Right? You can't put all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah,
exactly. Hopefully he doesn't need to. But for that to be the case, he's going to need to, unless their defense is good, not just passable. Like right now it's bad. It can get to passable with their current construction, but it has to be good. You have to have a strong foundation of defense, so you don't have to have him be Superman. You don't even have to have Cat be Superman. And that's only possible with Mitchell Robinson or another big, which they don't really have pathways to do that. So, I guess, can they have Mitchell Robinson be a key part will define their season.
Oh, man. I agree. Also, shout out Campaign, too. I love Campaign. He has been hooping off the bench.
Shout out Campaign.
Next up.
What's your first team, Mo?
Let's go ahead and just stay in the city of New York. Let's move over to Brooklyn, actually. Never mind.
Lovely.
My biggest question for them is just asking how high they can sell. We just recently saw them get off of Dennis Schroeder for a few assets, nothing too crazy. And now all eyes are on guys like Cam Johnson and the DSF and all that. So I'm just sitting here wondering, like, if you guys were contending teams, whether you're like the Memphis Grizzlies or hell, maybe the Warriors or whatever team you can imagine, how much are you willing to give up for guys like Cam Johnson on that team?
A first-round pick, maybe 2, depending on the team for sure. I can see the bidding war ending with 2 first-round picks and maybe a interesting salary filler going to them. But yeah, that's a good point. Their number one question is, how much can you reap the benefits of this current roster before you tear it all down? Because that's what they're doing. They're going down to absolutely nothing by the end of the season. It's how much assets can you extract before you start bottoming out for Cooper Flag?
Yeah. Can you get into the mind of Danny Ainge? Can you get into the mind of Sam Presti and say, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to scam somebody? Like that's the aggressiveness that they need to attack every single transaction, every single trade offer with, because now that you have your own picks back, obviously you know that you suck and you need to find a way to get better, and you guys are obviously tanking and try to build through the draft in an organic way. All you have to do is just get shots on goal. So you got to get the most picks possible.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think they will. Clearly, the bidding war is coming on soon. They're taking their time getting the right deal. But, man, by the end of this season, when April comes around, this team is going to be an abomination. It's going to be horrible.
An abomination in the best way, though.
Yep, in a way that's productive for the future.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So good for them. Let's take to a team that used to be an abomination, but is now extremely respectable. The Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Fresh off a win 2 days ago against the Lakers.
Basketball.
They are very competent right now. And, they spent the last 4 years being the opposite of competent. They were the poster boy for everything wrong with rebuilding in the NBA. Anytime a team was on the verge of rebuilding, the Raptors a few years ago, whoever it may be, and the fans kind of wanted to go that route, there was a contingent of fans that was like, yeah, maybe it'll work. Maybe we'll get whoever. Maybe we'll get a superstar. Or maybe we'll be the Pistons. We'll tank for 5 years and get absolutely nothing out of it other than a 27-game losing streak. They were just the personification of garbage. And that's not the case anymore. They're very good. So my question is, actually, let me say this. Why are they so good? Cade Cunningham is finally playing like an all-star. And they have shooting around him. That's the biggest differences, right? They got Tim Hardaway Jr. and they got Malik Beasley and they got Tobias Harris. They have adults in the room that have allowed Cade to thrive. And now he's playing like an all-star level player. So with that being said, the question is, do you have any other young guys on this team that can be around Cade for the next 5 years? Because I don't know if they do.
You tell me.
Let me not say that. I do think they do, but I don't think it's the ones they expected.
Yeah. I think yes, to answer your question, yes. And I feel like it's probably a twin. And then on top of that, too, Ron Holland looks very, very, very promising. Now,
that's my entire point.
Yeah, I think all eyes are on those two players. That's kind of sad to say because, again, it's been 5 fucking years and you're telling me like your most productive time has been the last 24 months. It's tough news.
Not even 7, the last 7 months.
Yeah. So at this point in time,
it's been the last month and a half, really. Why are we saying 7 months? They've been good for 6 weeks.
You're trying to give them credit. You're trying to give them credit throughout the draft.
Okay, fair. Ron Holland was a good pick.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we talk about the young guys, let's talk about Cade real quick. Because last week we did a rankings episode and we didn't include Cade Cunningham, our top 30. Fans were pissed, obviously. The Cade disrespect is crazy. They think we hate him. We have long loved Cade. One of the first videos on our channel, our shorts, was a debate TikTok where I said, I think Cade will be better than Anthony Edwards long term, which I don't know if I agree anymore, but that's how much we like Cade. We were that high on him. Last year, I was a little worried. I think I voiced to you guys over the summer that I'm kind of worried that maybe he isn't going to be the top 10 player that I once hoped he could be because the shooting never came around from where it was in college. The passing was good, but not great. We thought he'd be like a true elite passing prospect. And he's been a good playmaker, but not amazing. So you combine that with not being able to shoot super well. And then you also combine the fact that for every year of his career, he's been average or below average scoring at the rim. He currently averages 55% at the rim, which is not good for a 6'7" guard. We kind of started to see maybe he didn't have that ceiling we hoped he could be. The difference this year is he went from 32% from 3 to 39. That makes a big difference. He is destroying off the dribble threes. He looks super confident as a scorer. The rim scoring still isn't good. He needs to get that together if he wants to be a true superstar. But the shooting has made his scoring profile look more impressive. And the shooting around him hasn't made him a good rim scorer like people hoped he would. People kind of wrote off those numbers because the spacing was bad. Spacing is good now. And it's made him an elite passer, I think. He's really good at setting up threes. Him and Malik Beasley have been amazing together. So that's kind of been the reason he's gone from being, it's looking a little scary, to great shooter, great passer, very good defender, all-star.
I think what I get from that is wow, I think Cade genuinely has made improvements, but the biggest improvement has been seeing just how bad Detroit was. They're truly a steaming hot pile of shit. You said personification of garbage. That is the realest shit I've ever heard you say in my entire life, damn near. Because last year. For them to be that bad and to add low-level veteran players who on your average team, like Malik Beasley might be in 15 minutes a game, Tim Hardaway Jr. around the same range or whatever. They're not contributing to serious teams. good solid veterans in the room who know how to do their job on a somewhat consistent basis. You get those type of guys around Cade, and now him being able to elevate his game and average like 24, 25 on pretty good efficiency numbers outside of course, inside the rim or in the paint. Very surprised, not surprising, but very alarming and telling to me how bad that front office was and all the talent around them.
Yeah. So the question is, Donovan, what do you think about this? Which players on this team right now do you see being relevant around a Cade Cunningham team with all that in mind? Now that you understand the shooting clearly unlocks him as a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
He still isn't the best rim scorer. He needs somebody to complement that. Could use another ball handler around him because of that. We need better defense, yada, yada. Do you see a core of young players around him that can stay around him?
Yes. Because I agree with Mo. I think Asar and I think Ron Holland are the guys. I think Jaden Ivey has to get moved. Just because I don't think that. Two things. One, I don't think that Cade is ever going to be top 10. I think Cade will be very, very good. I do think that he will make, a couple of All-Stars in his career, but I don't think he's going to be 1A, lead your team, everybody get on my back, do all that. Now, he can still be your second best, maybe even third best player if your team is really, really good, best player on a championship team. And so now we got to find all right, we're going to go and we're going to get our fourth best player in Asar. We're going to get our fifth best player in Ron Holland. And now we're going to fill, we're going to fill the other pieces around, because I can take Jaden Ivey and a couple future, first round picks. I may be able to get a guy and build him in. And now we have two, mid space to throw at people instead of two just dominant guys. I may be able to get that in the middle and start building towards the championship team. So long story short, yes, Asar and Ron Holland are the two guys on the Pistons that I'm y'all have to be here.
These lineups as of late, Ron Holland's been playing a lot better, shooting a lot better from the field lately. These lineups where you see Cade, Asar, and Ron Holland is just so fucking athletic. Having Cade, who's a very good big defender, be your point of attack guy, with those two stupid athletic wings around him, that's a formula that works. As well as shooting, obviously. Mm. And Jaden Ivey's good. I actually think I've seen a lot of signs from him that I'm not out on him at all. I just don't know if it's the best fit we've always thought. It was a clearly talent, not fit draft pick when they picked him. Mm-hmm. And, I was looking at lineup data earlier. He's good. Whenever him and Cade are on the court together, they have a better net rating than when it's just Cade and no Ivy. When Cade's on the court without Ivy, they're minus 0.3. So basically completely neutral. With Cade alone, no Ivy, they have a 112 offensive rating, which is not good, right? So that might lead you to believe, they're better with Ivy on the court. They need both of them. They're two of their best players playing together. But when Cade is on the court, Ivy's off. But also Malik Beasley is on, their best shooter next to Cade. They are +7 net rating, and their offensive rating goes up to 115. So it makes total sense. In many of those lineups, it's Cade, Malik, Tim Hardaway Jr., two elite shooters in the wing next to Cade. Things look a lot better than when Ivy's there, who's a very talented player with the ball in his hands, has a certain level of burst and athleticism that is rare, and I still think can be harnessed with the right team. I don't know how good I feel about him with Cade.
He has to go. He has to go. And it's like you said, it's nothing wrong with Jaden Ivey. It's nothing, right? He's not a bust. It could have been worse. Last year it looked bad, right? Or the year prior. When Monty was the coach, it looked really, really shaky. But again, one of the biggest things in the NBA is just figuring out how to get adults in the room and how to get competent adults in the room. And the Pistons have done that. And now they're in a place that they probably should have been 3 years ago in this rebuild, where, okay, we're starting to look competent. We can make a push for the playoffs, whatever. We're playing Warriors, all that stuff. So I think it's fine. And I think there's a couple other teams on my list that I kind of have the same question for. And the question is how aggressive do you want to be in the offseason? Do you think that you can speed this up, or do you think that you kind of want to stay the path and keep methodically building and stuff like that? But I think that Detroit, we'll see how they feel about themselves after the season, right? I want to see that. I want to see them through a playoff push. I want to see them through a play and run and all that type of stuff. How high? Just that's it. What is your self-esteem level for the Pistons? That would be my question for them.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it, because Their all-star guy has emerged.
Mhm.
You now have the rest of this year to see how high he can emerge, get some more sample size, some more lineup combinations in front of you, and make decisions this offseason of how you want the team around him to be built. Because also Jalen Duren isn't playing that great. Still not a good defender.
Yeah.
Listen, the Kings might be imploding soon. There might be a big man available who theoretically would be a pretty good fit with Cade. So a lot of questions to be answered this summer for them.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
All right,
I
I got a team that we have to talk about because right
Okay.
before we started, we got news that Pat Riley went out to the media and he was like, "Listen, I know what everybody else saying, but this is from me, and we're not trading Jimmy Butler, right? Jimmy Butler is not being traded." And my question to the Miami Heat is Pat Riley a liar? Because if Pat Riley is a liar and Jimmy Butler gets traded, then once again, the original question is, how much are you going to get for Jimmy Butler? You okay, Penny? He's out here sneezing.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to know what kind of package they can get, because obviously Jimmy Butler has a name that you can go out and get some more assets than you probably would otherwise for somebody playing like him in that position. And if he is theoretically going to go to a contender, somebody's probably going to try and go all in like the Warriors. They're going to, try to maybe mortgage the future to maximize or to go all in on this moment right now.
That's a good point.
I just want to know what the package is going to end up being, and if Pat Riley is going to be able to either be willing to get it done or actually be able to get it done, because like we saw last year, tried to get Dame, couldn't necessarily do it because of whatever. Now we're in another situation a year later. Big trade star is trying to happen. Let's see if the deal can get done.
Yeah, we got this statement from Pat Riley literally right before we started recording. It says, "We usually don't comment on rumors, but all this speculation has become a distraction to the team and is not fair to the players and coaches. Therefore, we will make it clear we are not trading Jimmy Butler." This is coming one day, not even 24 hours, after Shams reports that Jimmy Butler, this is the verbiage here, would reportedly prefer to be traded ahead of the deadline. So he's not going full diva mode. He's not full on demanding a trade, tearing shit up like he did in Minnesota, going out with a blaze of fury. It's not that. But he's hinting that I probably won't be resigning this summer, so I prefer you trade me now and let me make use of this age 35 season I have, because it's not looking good for our future here together.
Yeah, so even more context behind that too. Jimmy Butler, he is signed under contract through next season. So the season after, after next season, he's going to be a free agent. He has player option.
He has a player option.
Yeah,
he's going to decline it though.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So if he decides to decline it, then like this will be pretty much his last season. And so with that in mind, if I'm Pat Riley, obviously the right decision is to go ahead and trade him. But knowing Pat Riley and his history and tendency to just like sit on his hands genuinely and just make moves, minor moves around the edges, aka, they went ahead and brought in someone like Terry Rozier, who wasn't like a major disruptor to the other pieces that they had. They signed Kyle Lowry a couple years ago to a fat ass contract that just ended up being a complete bust. They don't do humongous things, and Pat Riley seems to me that he's not the type to want to like wave the white flag and start a rebuild or anything of that nature. He's a massive fan of retooling, and if he does that, it's probably going to be during the off season. I think he'll be like a fool to do so. I think his ego is probably like way too high in this certain instance, but I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. So that's the question, right? Is what do they want from this team, and how much downside are they willing to deal with in order to find a better version? Which they clearly have up to this point have been willing to deal with zero downside. They don't want to rebuild, like you just said. But if Jimmy wants to go, like, it would be dumb to not trade him if he's saying I'm going to leave. And there could be a world where he opts in to do a sign and trade this summer, and maybe that's what they're waiting for. But like, it's the big question is it going to be Pat Riley brain that wins out, or are they going to be modern and react in a way that makes sense? Because it's a clash, like you said, between ego and what's smart. And history says ego will win, and Pat Riley will do things his way, his old, outdated way that has not worked as of late. They've tried. Jimmy's given them great years. He's put his nose to the grind, put so much time and effort into making this team good. They've given him very little to work with. They failed to get these big second star for him. They've drafted solidly, cool. They've got good role players around him. Shout out Max Strus, who he gave for them. Shout out Gabe Vincent. Shout out all these guys that are guys and they're helpful. but they haven't given him a real elite chance to win. So if Jimmy's saying, we tried, shake it off, on to the next era, it would be foolish of them to hold him there and not let that happen, I think.
I agree.
Yes. But that is what Pat Riley does.
Yeah, that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
The old man is in charge.
Even whenever they made the finals, Miami is always a popular destination. And they could have theoretically went out and made a deal, but you saw Pat Riley before say, no, we're gonna run it back. We are going to just stick with what we have and trust in continuity and our infrastructure and Coach Spo and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's done it before, and I promise you he will do it again.
Yeah.
And they only made the finals because Jimmy turned into a Superman. If they lose Jimmy for nothing, there's no Jimmy waiting to come here next. Mm-hmm. Again, maybe we also didn't think Jimmy would come there to begin with. Yeah. We didn't think he would to begin with, and they made this shit happen. So you never know. You really do never know. It could happen again. We don't see it until it does, but if I'm a Heat fan, I'm not excited by this. If I'm a Heat fan, I want them to trade Jimmy.
What 25-year-old multimillionaire is going to come to Miami? No. They're going to find him.
So my question to y'all is, what does a life without Jimmy Butler look like? How good can they be? Are they just going to be like a cool 35-win team until they stumble onto their next guy?
Yes.
Goddamn, that's pretty bleak to me, because it seems like just going to be doing a whole lot of nothing. Bam Adebayo's 27, going to be
his hoop
28.
mixtape is going to be crazy. Bam Adebayo is going to get all the opportunity in the world to do whatever he wants, and I hope he's in the gym with Drew Hanlon, working on some dribble skills. I hope all of that, because his time is about to come.
They need to trade him, man. I'd be so mad if I was a Heat fan.
I would too.
Rip that goddamn bandit off.
If I was a Charlotte Hornets fan, I'd be pretty, not mad, but I'd be pretty confused, because that's my next team. And when I look at this team, there's just not a lot to work with. In general, you see LaMelo Ball. We had an extensive conversation last episode about him and his play and how he's kind of confusing to rank. We all had him in all different types of places. So when I look at this team, of course, naturally, my question is, who you need another building block? Who is that? Is that player there? Is that player in college or overseas? And will that player be attainable? But also on a deeper level, I look at LaMelo Ball and I'm just like, how good can you be? So there's kind of two questions that I have.
Yeah. So your question is where are they in their timeline? They have to figure that out. Because it's kind of like the Pistons thing, where they have LaMelo, who's really emerged into, he's been an all-star team before, but he emerged to a new level this year. And obviously he's hurt again, but he's back now. But he's dealt with that throughout the year. But he's kind of taken another step seemingly. Mark Williams is never available, just came back. We'll see what kind of season he has. I think Brandon Miller right now has the reputation of having a good year, and he has a lot to work with. I haven't seen enough that I'm like, oh, he's for sure a star. I think we kind of treat him like he's a 19-year-old, but he's a little bit older, and he's developing well. He's showing signs. There's things there, but his current player profile isn't super different the way we've seen from Jalen Green, in terms of a streaky shooter that has really hot moments and doesn't score at the rim and do all these other things. Granted, he's earlier in his career, so he doesn't have that label yet of Jalen, who's in year 5 and he's still that guy. So Brandon Miller could go different paths, right? He could become a star, or he could become Jalen Green. I lean towards he's going to be good, just with that frame, and just most guys aren't Jalen Green, but it's in the air. He's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
In terms of a second star. So they're not good enough to tank. They're not going to go get another guy. Maybe Tijon Salam becomes something. He's a big long-term project. They are kind of in a weird place too, where they aren't going to have top 3 picks anymore, but they don't have a clear-cut young core.
Right. How do you feel about that, Mo? He's going after your guy. He's putting Brandon Miller in Jalen Green conversations.
No, I'm not.
I understand.
He said your guy's not good.
It's tough to see Brandon. Again, I agree with him in terms of it's not a stellar second year, but also it's he's around a pile of shit right now. And LaMelo Ball's been healthy, so he's completely had to change his play style. And when LaMelo Ball is there, last year he pretty much went the entire year without playing LaMelo Ball. Now he's back and he's pretty much in and out the lineup. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. You got a new coach. So much going on there, so it's hard to gauge how good he is right now. But I just know, and I'm confident that he is the guy there. I'm just looking for the other guys, and I kind of disagree with you, Isaac. I think they're bad enough to tank. They're 7-22 or something like that right now.
True.
And my only question is okay, if you're going to be this bad right now, you need to find another guy immediately, or else you're going to be in the same waste of time type of timeline that the Detroit Pistons were, and they kind of got like nothing, not nothing, but they've just like, they haven't utilized their time at all through the periods of them being bad. And I fear that the same things are going to be happening with the Charlotte Hornets if they don't have another guy to cling on to.
Yeah.
Which
and again, Brandon Miller could have a strong second half of the year. Right now, he's been pretty similar to last year, less efficient in some ways. Again, I'm not writing him off. It's just he's not. Some people talk about him like he's a hit for sure, and he very well so could be, but it's not set in stone. We don't know for sure that he's going to be really good. We see signs, and we're remaining optimistic, but just they don't have a star duo yet, I think is the key. So they don't have an identity yet, and they're still trying to figure that out and mold that. And the question is, what is that going to be? And you mentioned LaMelo is kind of hard to gauge. And what we meant by that is when you compare him to other players in the league, the nature of this team right now of being pretty bad and allowing him to just run and gun and put up shots, hard to understand how that's going to translate when you have more good players. So they're just in a tricky place right now trying to find their identity.
Yeah, they're doing some soul searching right now. Soul searching.
Exactly. And the question is, what's the answer going to be? You guys got to find out over the next course of the season what type of team you're going to be long term, because we don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What is Charles Lee cooking? We will find out soon.
Thanks.
All right, my turn.
Yep.
My next team. Let's do the Atlanta Hawks. They are in a space right now, a very good space, I think. They finally found the vision for how to build around Trae Young. They took their learnings from the DeJounte Murray trade, in which they tried to get a big guard that can be this defensive stopper and play next to Trae and give them size positionally. They tried to do that with DeJounte. It didn't work because he was a point guard, and putting two point guards together doesn't make a lot of sense when neither one of them are particularly good off ball. You know why that crashed and burned. They got Dyson Daniels. Jalen Johnson can continue to take leaps. They got Reese Shea. They now have 3 6'7" to 6'9" rangy wings that can defend and do all those things that DeJounte was supposed to do. And that's working really well. That's working really well in terms of finding an identity. It's not really working well in terms of being a contender already, which they never expected to be. So not to say that they should be, but eventually you have a star in his prime. Trae Young is, in the back half of his 20s now. He's getting there. He needs to be in win now mode pretty soon. Otherwise, the timelines aren't going to make a lot of sense, So the question I have for them is, what is the next step? How do you take this new mold that you have as a team and what's the next big move you can do to give yourself a chance to be a top 3 team in your conference?
I think what we need to do to give ourselves a chance in order to be elevated into this conference has nothing to do with us or this roster. We need to do some voodoo black magic to the Los Angeles Lakers because we got y'all pick. We got y'all pick. And I am praying on your downfall every single day. Every single day. Hope y'all missed the playoffs. I hope you missed the play-in. I wish the best for my GOAT James, but everybody else, do not care. Sayonara.
That's going to be the 17th pick, and you're going to like it.
On a realer note, though, with the Atlanta Hawks, you're right. We found an identity. Jalen Johnson has made a leap after his career was being sabotaged by Nate McMillan for a whole 2 years. I see Jalen Johnson. I love his potential. Every team, in order to win at the highest level, you need wings, big wings like him at the 3 or 4 position who can pass, defend, score willingly because of their insane brute force strength and all that. I love him in his game, but he can't be your best player. I don't think he can be your second best player, but he can be a great third option because of his scoring limitations. I see Trae Young. You're right. He's getting up there a little bit when it comes to his age. I'm not worried about him necessarily in his future just yet. If there's a way out of this and if there's a way to spring yourself forward toward the top, there needs to be almost a consolidation trade because this team is semi-deep. Short term, I think there's two ways to answer this. Short term and long term. Short term, you need a backup point guard because the guard play isn't that strong outside of Trae Young when it comes to having another playmaker who can penetrate the defense on a consistent basis. Our second point guard is Jalen Johnson. So you need to find a point guard replacement, whether it be in the offseason, you want to throw Russell Westbrook a little bag or whatever random player. Long term, as a Hawks fan, I'm thinking about, okay, we got the number 1 overall pick in Zachary Richardson, who's developing, doing everything pretty much at a good level outside of like scoring. DeAndre Hunter's killing it. Bogey is Bogey. He was a 6-man candidate last year. DeAndre Hunter is just like 6-man. Probably he may be leading the race right now, maybe second, third, whatever. We need a consolidation trade, and we need to find a guy who is either like a star-studded center or someone who can lead the reins of our wing position and be the guy. And I don't know if that guy doesn't exist for us right now. So that's like the long-term answer, though. You need a consolidation trade to get rid of some of this depth. Will it happen now? I don't know. But right now, just build on your identity.
Yeah, they need to start big. That's the answer.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. And I don't think that like you're preying on the Lakers' downfall. Obviously, if their pick can fall low enough, great. But I don't think, for a lot of the reasons that Isaac said, that drafting somebody right now is the way to go in terms of like trying to figure out what the next step is in the Trae Young thing, because you've seen that one, Trae Young can get you to an Eastern Conference Finals if everything like goes well. And so having 2 projects with Ricochet and then whatever big that you draft, having 2 projects on top of like trying to maximize Jalen Johnson, like it's a lot of asking people to grow. And like if you're going to do that, that's cool. If you're the Pistons, that's cool. If you're like, I guess the Rockets at this point where we're just trying to get better, right? We were in a severe tank. You guys aren't in that. And not even trying to be funny. You guys are just consistently mid. And so how do you break out of that mid? You have to go kind of big. You have to be able to get guys who can play right now and not be, so focused on development.
They need to make a splash trade this summer before that Lakers pick is conveyed.
Deadline. I don't know if we need to necessarily rush into it that fast. Kind of disagree on that. But in general, when we do make that splash trade, we did that like 2 years ago. Obviously, it fell on our faces. This is our last opportunity really to make a splash trade, and we need to hit it, or else like Trae Young's going to be pushing 28, 30, 28, 29 at that point in time. He's not going to want to sit around for a second retool. There's only so much he can sit down and watch his counterparts like Luka Doncic go to an NBA Finals, Jaren Jackson Jr. make leaps and strides with the Memphis Grizzlies, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander push his way towards MVP conversations, and he's just over here like Treyway all day. Anyways, now me personally, as an Atlanta Hawks fan, I'm witnessing and I'm noticing what's taking place in Minnesota. There is a young 6'4" black man over there who resides in Atlanta, from Atlanta. I am praying on their downfall also consistent because they're doing absolutely nothing. They're doing absolutely nothing. And if I'm going to
you better get Julius Randle.
Please, God, hey, you just put fear in my heart. Almost had.
I was going to say a 6'4" black man. You're looking the wrong side of the court. Julius Randle's about 6'9".
Whoa.
That's who you're getting.
Hell no. Anthony Edwards, please come home. We will have access for you.
Bro, shoot with a left hand, Julius Randle. like that's who you are getting.
You're getting Julius Randle, or I mentioned earlier, the Kings are soon to implode. You better learn to speak Domantas Sabonis, and you better like it.
Good God, I hope not, bro. That's my worst nightmare.
I actually would kind of like him in trade. It'd be kind of fun. He's not a lot though.
That's disgusting, bro. That's even a worse. I don't want to say it's a worse version of Trae and Fox.
Yeah, you lose the lob threat. You lose the lob threat ability of Trae Young, which sucks. But there's interesting things with those two passers that with those wings around them. I don't think it would be terrible. But yeah, you probably do just want to lob threat around them.
Just know that I'm hoping a lot, and I'm praying on Minnesota's downfall as well. And I'm just scheming and planning, building assets right now.
All right, man. We'll see. Anyways, the big question for the Hawks is how do we escape mid? Because they are going to be mid for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Whose turn is this? Is it my turn again?
Nah,
it might be my turn. No, Isaac
Hawks
just won.
Oh, yeah. So it is my turn. No, so it is my turn.
It's Donovan's turn.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Settle down. No, wait your turn.
My question is for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about it last week when we were doing our rankings. But the question is, can you get Devin Booker back on track? I'm very, very curious to see if Booker can get himself back to a point where he's like neck and neck with KD. I think you've seen in like since KD has gotten there, I do think that Durant has been the better player, but you can make the argument, okay, like Devin actually is the better player. Right now, I don't think that that's the case. I think that it is very clear it's very clear like Durant is 1 and Booker is 2. And if you can close the gap a little bit in the second half of the season, I think that the Suns' upside is really, really high. But if Devin Booker is playing at the level that he is right now, I don't think that they actually have that high of a ceiling. And not to say that they would get swept in the first round like they did last year, because last year that was that was actually kind of predictable that they were going to get bounced out. Like they really weren't all that. But the way that they have
we all picked them to win the series, right?
No.
Including you.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. Did I?
I swear you did. I think we did.
I promise I did. Well, I didn't believe it because I saw them and I probably just did it just because I didn't like. It was probably more disbelief in Minnesota than anything. And I was like, I'm not betting on Cat.
I know what you mean though. The physicality wasn't surprising. Predictable isn't the word because there were some things they had that maybe we theorized would make the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of sweat. But it's not. It wasn't surprising at all that physicality whooped their ass. What you mean?
Yes, but like going into this year, like I really like the way that they look whenever they're firing on all cylinders. I feel like it is sustainable, and I do feel like in the Western Conference there is space for them to be in there and potentially make a run. But that doesn't happen in the playoffs if Devin Booker doesn't get back to like all NBA type level. And I want to see if he can get there.
Yeah, it's also just weird because they played the Nuggets last night on Christmas. We're recording this on 26th. Mm-hmm. Bradley Beal looks so good, and he's looked really good in times when it's him and KD, and he isn't asked to be a 6'4" small forward, which isn't the best for him. Like, Bradley Beal is still good. Him and Devin Booker are a little duplicative, as we've always known they are, right? But they're versatile enough that we think there's a world where they can play together. Mm-hmm. What's interesting to me is they're clearly pining hard trying to get Jimmy Butler. And, the Heat said today they're not going to trade him. Cap, I think, a little bit. I think it's some negotiation maybe. But then again, it's Pat Riley, so who knows? But I wonder what that does to Jimmy Butler. I mean, for Devin Booker, if they manage to get him and get rid of Bradley Beal for a guy that's, just positionally different and they kind of are a little more additive to each other. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that would help Devin Booker at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll make Jimmy Butler or Devin Booker's life a lot easier because they're inverse players. In my mind, Jimmy Butler likes to do a lot of his work more so interiorly in the mid-range game, and Devin Booker can get his bucket from anywhere. We also know he's like a mid-range god as well. But I think there's I agree with you in terms of like Jimmy Butler is way more additive to Devin Booker's game, and we'll be able to see either a better version of Devin Booker. Maybe he'll be able to get some things unlocked in his game, better looks and whatever the case may be. But I like that thought process a lot.
Yeah, but apparently it's not going to happen though because Pat Riley's a curmudgeon, but whatever. But no, I agree. Their ceiling has to be we have 2 top 8 players in the world and we have a good defense, good coach. We're clicking at the right time. Without that, then there's not really a ceiling.
You think they're ever going to get rid of Yusuf Nurkic? Can they be saved?
If they could, they would already. He's stuck there. Nobody wants his ass.
God damn.
Tough.
All right, what's your team now, Mo? You were itching to get it out. What is it?
I guess we can stick to that Christmas game last night. We witnessed them play the Denver Nuggets, and that's my next team. Okay. This team has been all over the place. Nikola Jokic, according to Kevin Durant last night in his post-game interview, he was like, yeah, this dude's a top 10 NBA player of all time.
Ball knower.
Kind of cooking. But that's not the point right now. Although you have a top 10 NBA player of all time right now, you're playing like a very, very, very mediocre team. And the Denver Nuggets should be far from that. When it comes to why they're mediocre, you can point in all types of directions, whether it be the front office and how they're not aligned with Coach Mike Malone's vision whatsoever. You can point at Jamal Murray and him not necessarily being the all-star caliber player that you need alongside Nikola Jokic. And you can point towards like someone like maybe a Michael Porter Jr., who hasn't elevated in ways in which you'd want to see when he has that humongous contract. And I think he's like my biggest question right now. Just the other day, Michael Porter Jr. was asked if, he's worried about being traded or whatever. And he was like, no, I'm not worried. And if I was worried, they would have a conversation with me. But then I think he also said something like, even if they were fishing me out there in the market, they wouldn't tell me. So he can just do what he does right now and try to perform at his best. And I think I'm looking at him, I'm trying to figure out ways to elevate this roster, whether it be trade him for lower level players who are just great defenders and shooters, because right now with what he's giving you on a consistent basis, you're really limited. And he's the only way out. So how much can you get from Michael Porter Jr. if you want to trade him?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Because they don't have any other trade paths. That's all they have is trading him. And Nuggets fans are real upset about that. He's been good and doesn't deserve to be traded. He's done his role and he's done nothing wrong. He hasn't been a problem at all. The problem has obviously been Jamal Murray and obviously been the nonsense that Calvin Booth has filled the bench with. So it would feel like he's dying at the altar for Calvin Booth's mistakes. And they don't want that for Michael Porter. But this team is clearly not good enough as it is constructed. Maybe we can just hope that in a playoff setting, we get playoff Jamal and Jokic carries. I wouldn't feel good if I was a Nuggets fan going to a playoff series with that being the hope, that things just materially transform because we enter the playoffs and we just get lucky. That would piss me off. So you're right. It sucks. He might be the one that has to be traded for lack of other options.
Man, these boys are brokies. These boys are brokies. And now I do feel bad for MPJ. I do. If he does get traded, I would feel bad.
Yeah, it is what it is, though. Like Isaac said, he has to die at the altar. He is the sacrifice that they have to make, and it sucks. Now, I wish there was one other way around. I wish some other team was like dying in the need for Jamal Murray's services, but they're not, because he ain't doing really too much on a consistent basis for this team.
Zach LaVine, get ready to speak Mile High City 5280. The team is ready for you. I don't know if that'll be good. I don't know if your defense is going to be possible if his shot making is better than the positional size that MPJ gives you, because this team is huge right now with MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Jokic. I don't know if this is a better world, but what I do know is Zach LaVine is very, very talented offensively, and him getting these wide open looks off of dribble handoffs next to Nikola Jokic and these wide open threes off of Nikola Jokic would be dynamic as hell. It would be pretty good.
Yeah, if there's a way out, it's definitely that way, and I'll be willing to bang on that because, okay, you do lose a little bit of defense. Not to say, like, you're right, Michael Porter Jr.
You lose a lot of defense.
Yeah, you lose a lot of defense because that's the size. You lose defense and rebounding. And Zach LaVine, all he gives is just a walking flamethrower. And I think at this point in time, that's maybe what you need at this point, because Jamal Murray used to be that. He's not that anymore. Lost a lot of steps. And Zach LaVine can carry on that torch and just help enlighten them on that end of the floor.
Then what do you do with the three? You can't start Christian Brown, Jamal Murray, and Zach LaVine. So maybe you got to start Peyton Watson with three?
He might have to start.
But then you're spacing his balls. That'd be terrible.
It'll be fine. If that's what it comes down to, I do trust Jokic to figure it out offensively. Like you'll be okay.
Okay,
you'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay,
top 10 player of all time. Go ahead and figure it out, buddy. This is what the label's for.
You're speaking Calvin Booth's goddamn language. Let Nikola Jokic do his job. Okay, what team do I want to do next? Look at my list again. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets are interesting because they've obviously had a very good season. They're a top 3 team in the conference. They are on schedule for this win now rebuild around Ime Udoka, who has put together a program with good veterans that's winning based off defense. My question is, what can they do to empower Amen Thompson and ensure that he is the future of this team next to Sengun? Because it is so clear that this is a guy that can, and in my opinion, will be their best player one day. How do they build this team around him and his skill set? How do they negate his lack of spacing and put him in position to going to this end of this year, but especially going into next year when you have a full offseason and you can really kind of reshuffle things? How do you put yourself and make the necessary moves now so we can hand him the keys next year?
You tell Fred VanVleet to take a vacation to Turks and Caicos and never come back. Like you have to make Amen Thompson the starting guard of the future, and you have to make sure that he has control over the offense and that he is getting maximum playing time, because the way he impacts the game defensively is insane. And you just see whenever he has, even on offense, whenever he has the ball, good stuff just happens. He's able to put the Rockets in such good positions. And the fact that if you actually wake up and realize that Jalen Green is not going to be the guy for you, and you still have Sengun there, and you play through Sengun and have him as an offensive hub, and now you have Sengun who could do all this passing at the high post, and then just this crazy athlete in Amen Thompson, that right there in that formula can get you somewhere. So, but it starts with consolidating a lot of the guards, and Fred is probably the first one to go.
And they've been linked to every star trade right now. They're linked to him always because they're a young team of win now mode with a deep young core. Logic says they can make a trade for a star better than most people can and be ready to win with them. So I don't even know if this reporting is actually based on them being interested or if it just makes sense to people to throw their names in there. But that does make sense. And, De'Aaron Fox may soon be available, and people want to see him go to the Rockets for all those reasons. I don't know if De'Aaron Fox and the men make sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Rockets, I mean, you don't pass up on De'Aaron Fox. He's an amazing player. But if they believe in a man the way I do, I only make a star trade if it's somebody that complements a man really well. If I'm pushing all my pieces in, if I'm trading Reed Shepherd, I'm trading Cam Whitmore, I'm trading all my picks, doing whatever, I have to see a world in which my big three on my team can be Sengun, Amen, and new All-Star. Insert whoever the All-Star is. That has to be the vision. So I think they need to remain patient. If they agree that Amen's their guy, they have to set themselves up to have the perfect roster construction around him, because that's a difficult player to build around. You can reap the benefits. It's like building around Ben Simmons, right? Him and Joel Embiid didn't make the most sense in the world on paper, but they figured it out, and they were a good team for a time because the skill set, things that Ben Simmons brought were amazing. I think you're kind of going to be in that same spot with Amen in a year or two.
Yeah, if you think like that about Amen, then you're also like you're cashing in that he's going to be like a top 25-ish player in the league one day. And if you believe that's how high his ceiling truly is once he gets the keys to the offense, rock out. I'm with you if you believe that. I think when it comes to Fred VanVleet, he has doesn't he have like a team option after this year?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he has a team option. They gave him like a fat ass bag for 2 years. I think he's making like 40 then 44 million this year and next season. And I think if Fred VanVleet's really for the team, and if he loves the situation, the Houston Rockets can just simply decline that, renegotiate his deal, get him on some more team friendly, and elongate his contract over the next few years. I think that's the easy way around it. This year, I think if I were you, I would like cut the bullshit, get that man on the bench and start Amen, and just get a feel for this new era and give him as many reps as possible, as soon as possible. That way, if, an opportunity does arise where, if not De'Aaron Fox, another star level guard, has an ability to, or another star level guard is out in the trade market, you'll gauge if Amen's ready for that type of leap.
Mm-hmm.
Is he playable? Is he scalable? Whatever, right? But yeah, I think that's easier. I think that's the easiest route.
Yes, and also you were right. So Fred's contract, he's getting paid $42.8 this year, has a team option next year for $44.8.
That's getting declined so fast. So fast.
Who's that star going to be? Like, I don't know. Like, it could be a wing. That way a man can be like, is it Brandon Ingram? I don't know. They're not linked to him, but like, I don't know. Like, probably not. It's probably
kind of
Ingram, but like,
got,
they're waiting for Devin Booker or KD.
You got to get
that's
some
the answer. They've been linked. They're waiting to see the Suns' downfall and try to swoop in and get him. And Devin Booker and a man would be fucking sick. That'd be an awesome combo. Oh, that'd be beautiful. So maybe they're remaining patient for that, seeing if that crashes and burns. But I wouldn't necessarily like be expecting that.
Hey man, listen. There's a guy, a 6'4" black man who lives in Minnesota.
Oh, what's up with all this profiling over here, man? What the hell are you talking about? A lot of 6'4" black guys. What that mean in Minnesota? What that mean?
Is there a lot in Minnesota?
We'll see.
Yeah, man.
See. But like, listen, you got the T-Wolves, got the Vikings. You got some stuff, But like,
we got Justin Jefferson, we got Anthony Edwards,
but like Ant in Houston. Ant in Houston would be extremely interesting.
Ant's not getting fucking traded.
He's not, but we're just throwing stuff out there. If Mo can say Ant to Atlanta, I can say Ant to Houston.
No, you can't.
All right, what's the next team, Donovan?
All right, so I'm actually going to double up because I kind of have the same question for these two teams, and that is the Toronto Raptors and the Utah Jazz. Mm-hmm. And my question for both of them is very conditional because the condition is, will you be able to get Cooper Flag? Both of them are in the middle of tanking seasons. They are both like on the precipice of being, I think the Raptors right now are in the bottom three. So they will be able to get one of like the top odds. Can the Jazz end up getting there? And so if either one of those teams get Cooper Flag, cool. You have a building block moving forward that you are going to continue your rebuild around. Toronto is really interesting because Toronto has played pretty well. Like all things considered, like Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, right, you've seen a lot of growth from their guys. Utah this year sucks. Last year was pretty good, but you still have a lot of assets. I have the same question for them that I did the Pistons, which is how high is your self-esteem? Would you be willing to be more aggressive on your rebuild. And I think that it's very, very interesting because I think that they both have teams or front office situations that can welcome another star, good player, low-level all-star, and kind of speed some things up. And so I'm monitoring their situation. I just want to know how highly they think about themselves and how much they want to push the gas.
Yeah, not much to say about them. I mean, the Raptors, my biggest question for them is how important is Quickly to you? He has been unavailable, and he's been hurt, and we haven't been able to see him live up to the trade they made for him. Scotty Barnes looked pretty good as a lead initiator. RJ Barrett's having a good year. Ochai Agbaji looks like a really, really promising 3-and-D wing. They got a lot of pieces coming together. Is Quickly your point guard, right? Like, is that spot in your rotation your but your lead guard, your main primary guy? Is that Emmanuel Quickly? If not, if you don't feel super confident and you get to the NBA draft, you get a top 3 pick, there's some lead guards that are going to be available as well as some wings. There's a very good draft here. So how you feel about Quickly, I think, really impacts how they approach this draft.
Yeah, and I think that's that's my biggest question for them too. How strongly do you feel about Quickly? Is he someone who's a legit building block who you have to plan around, or is he someone who you just gloss over and be like, yeah, we'll see what we can get out of him, but we have other pieces and players potentially to prioritize? I agree with you.
Yeah. All right, what's your next team, Mo?
All right, so my next team has to be the Los Angeles Clippers. I think the biggest question for them has basically been frying the fuck out of this organization since 2019, bro, or 2020. When are you going to get back a healthy Kawhi? There's nothing else to really talk about when it comes to what else is reaping around or shadowing this organization. James Harden is balling out to the best of his capabilities. Norman Powell you can argue that he's the most improved player of the year. Their defense has been great. It's been what's holding them down throughout the entirety of the season. I have no real questions for this team. They've been maximizing on their potential.
What's that noise?
Are you hearing that, bro?
Was that wind?
That thunder?
It's thundering and lightning outside. It's going crazy.
That's bad. The Wi-Fi finna go out.
No, I'm good. Keep on. Speed up.
No, you're right, though, Mo. They're in a spot where we've talked a lot about young teams so far that are in a position to change who their team is going forward. They're in a rebuild, retooling, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not the Clippers. The Clippers are who they are. They will either be mid and not do a ton in the playoffs, or they'll be a sleeping giant because they might add Kawhi back. And Kawhi hasn't been available for several years now. But when he does play, he's still playing like an all-NBA wing. So if he comes back at the right time and they get a healthy playoff run, they could do some shit. They have that defense like you talked about. They have some firepower. The question is, are they low-key feeling good about their team right now? Because if they get Kawhi back, I don't want to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, at the start of the season, I remember a lot of people were like, holy shit, wow, they lost Paul George. The team's going to be so mid, so ass. You're relying on a old, hobbled James Harden to carry this team and be back in his ways like he was back in 2019 when he was still letting loose with the Houston Rockets and whatnot. I think the number one thing I'm looking forward to with this team is how much can you mess up the plans for other teams? They messed up already Oklahoma City's, not plans, but, if OKC, we were all over here worrying oh, shit, these guys are kind of ass on paper, and it may look like they can escape with another, lottery pick. As right now in the recording of this podcast, that shit is not happening at all. This is a consistent team. I believe they're, the 6th seed in the Western Conference right now, hovering around that range. Very respectable team. Very respectable team. So they already fucked up OKC's plans as of now. Still could, you're right, Isaac. I agree. Now, can they fuck up anybody else's plans when it comes to in the playoffs? Can they make someone's life hella hard? Yes, they can. I think they're just they can't do anything themselves, but they can ruin everybody else's night.
Hey man, they're the 7th seed right now. If the season ended today and they play the Rockets in the first round, and Kawhi is there, I don't know if I'm picking the Rockets. That'd be difficult.
I don't know if I'm picking the Rockets. Bro. I don't know if I can pick the Rockets, bro. That would be so storyline for James Harden too.
But also, Kawhi Leonard is the friends he made along the way. So we're doing a lot of assuming that he actually comes back and actually plays good. At this point, he's a figment of our imagination. So who's to say?
Yeah,
he's an imaginary friend.
Yeah, but they could shake some shit up in the conference for sure.
Yeah, they've already shaken up things a little bit with OKC. God damn,
that
Donovan.
thunder is crazy. You're gonna die tonight. You're gonna die tonight. I hope you're ready. Say goodbye.
You get ready to light up them cuddles, them candles. I hope you got a janitor down. Or I said a janitor. I'm gonna say a generator.
I don't listen. The place I'm at is now on tornado watch.
Damn,
Lovely.
Fire.
That's hilarious.
So next team, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know how we waited so long to talk about this team because this is one of the teams we have to talk about the most. The point of this episode is to look to the future. What is the rest of this season, summer, calendar year? What does 2025 hold for these franchises? 2025 is going to be the most important year of the Timberwolves for next decade, probably. They are currently around 500 after a year in which they were the best team in the Western Conference for most of the season. Anthony Edwards bloomed into a star. Rudy Gobert led them to the number one defense in the league. Things were looking great. They trade Cat for all these dumb reasons that we didn't like in the moments. We came to understand because of the business and yada, 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 long-term planning. We get it. The deal was fucking ass. The team is in current disarray. Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, a washed Mike Conley, and Jaden McDaniels, who has not taken an offensive leap, has proven to be a really terrible offensive core around Anthony Edwards. He hasn't grown as a player. It's made his weaknesses look worse now because he has even less creation and even less playmaking around him than he had before. Less spacing too. He is struggling right now to take the next step as like a star ball handler because they're asking him to be the lead playmaker all the time, essentially. And that's not his game. He's a true two guard, not a lead playmaker. The team construction right now is not conducive to your best young bright star continuing to make strides. That is a problem for a team that is in a small market, that has a star, that is vocal about his discontent, his contempt he has for this team. He is not comfortable ever. He wants to win, and when he doesn't, he goes to the media and he's like, these guys suck. We're not playing good. We need to do some shit better. If I'm in the Timberwolves organization, that doesn't make me feel good because they have so little paths to getting back on track. The question I have for them is, can you salvage this era over the next 6 months? Can you give Anthony Edwards a reason to feel good about this team? Can you make fans feel good about the vision you have for the future? Can you trade Julius Randle? Get him a good guard to play next to, a good point guard, all these things. Just, can you fix this shit? Because it's currently really, really bad.
This is hilarious, bro. Almost every other night that they have just a terrible loss, you're right. Anthony Edwards is like, yeah, bro, I don't know what this team's identity is. A couple nights ago, I believe it was like last week, I forget who they were playing, but Anthony was like, yeah, we have no identity. We're playing like we have no confidence. We're playing like chumps right now. We don't know what we're doing. All I know is Julius Randle shooting the ball. That's what he said. You know, it was hilarious. And it's like, I mean, yeah, he ain't lying. He's telling absolute facts. What's so interesting about this team is like they started off super slow defensively, and now they've caught up to a point to where they're top 10 in that range. And they're actually, ironically enough, or surprisingly enough, they're better than they were defensively last year. But so many other teams have like taken a massive leap defensively, whether it be OKC, Houston Rockets, Orlando Magic, and all that. So they're still not the best defense in the NBA. They're right where they were last year. Still one of the best defenses in the NBA. But their offense, like you said, is like so slow and sluggish, and the decision making and the firepower is just not there. Guys, like, you didn't even touch on it that much, Isaac, but you've been like not calling this player overrated, but he just isn't as fantastic as many people make him out to be, which is like Naz Reid. You go ahead and trade away Karl Anthony Towns. Like, oh wait, don't matter. We got Karl Anthony Towns at home again, and Naz Reid. He hasn't been absolutely fantastic in taking those.
They don't fucking use him enough though. It's not even his fault right now.
Yeah, so it's that, and then Jaden McDaniels hasn't taken that leap as well. We talked about it a couple streams ago. TD3 Tuesdays, except for this past Tuesday.
I feel like Isaac's talked about that for the last year. that McDaniels hasn't been like the guy.
Yeah, I thought you were getting to him, not Naz Reid. Naz Reid is like, can't defend like that, but you know, he should be playing more than Randle at this point. But the biggest problem, people aren't aware that Jaden McDaniels is wildly disappointing. Great defender, everything does is cool. He has been probably the biggest swing factor of why their offense sucks and why Anthony Edwards is struggling. They paid him with the expectation of him continuing to develop and continuing to make strides with the ball in his hands and be a good connective offensive player, try to make the Mikal Bridges development and do some mid-range stuff with that length, yada, yada. He's not good offensively. Like, for his standards, for his pay scale, he is not particularly impactful on the offensive end. And that sucks when, like I said, Mike Conley is old and washed. One of the most inefficient players in the league. And obviously a Randle and Gobert offensive front court is not fucking pretty.
And what makes it work is if you have one of the most offensively talented bigs of all time over the last 10 years on your side, which is Karl Anthony Towns and his shooting ability. And if you delete that, he's not there, and you have someone like Julius Randle who, bro, I ain't gonna lie, I overrated Julius Randle. Speaking of him, overrated his connective ability and how what type of passer he was. He just makes offenses look so catastrophic at times with the type of passes that he is making. And he's not like he doesn't process quick passes at all. He likes to do with
that's what it is.
Bully ball a little bit, and he's not the type of passer that I initially thought he was. You know?
Yeah, and that makes
he's
sense.
a slow, methodical player.
Yeah, and I think like the answer for me in terms of like can they fix it? The answer for me is no. For the 2024-2025 season, I am out on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I've said that. I've said that for like I think about like a month now, but the way that they're playing, somebody's losing their job, right? Like I don't, and it can be Chris Finch, it can be Julius Randle, it can be A-Rod and the ownership. Somebody who is in the building right now is not going to be there next year because it is so rare. I think that you have a guy like Ant be so vocal, like that part. That's one of the biggest parts that I've seen this year is that like we've seen LeBron be passive aggressive, right? But it happens like every 10 games. Mm-hmm. You see players come out and say certain stuff, but it's like once every 20 games, whatever. Anthony Edwards, they are 15 and 14. 14 times this year, Anthony Edwards has come out and been like, yeah, this is not going well. I'm not having a good time. We saw it at the beginning of last year too. He's like, listen, there's just no space to drive. Anytime you put a mic, and that's like the good and bad of Anthony Edwards and, having him as a personality and all that. And I love everything that comes with him. But if you put a mic in front of his face and ask him, how do you feel? He's going to tell you, I don't feel good. And you can't have that consistently for 9 months, a year, and think that nothing is going to change. And so I think it's very obvious that the Timberwolves are not going to win the championship. They're not making it to the Western Conference Finals. Something has to change. And I'm very curious to see, whenever this ownership stuff gets resolved, what direction does the acting owner take this team in? And that's good. That's, like you said, 2025 is the most important year that they've had in a long time.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the whole ESPN thing. I don't want to be up here like, how do we get into a big market? It's time to trade it. Is he on trade alert? None of that bullshit. Because he's under contract for a long time. It's not how this shit works. We don't got to play that up. But I will say, you're starting when things do get to that path eventually, you look back and you see times like this started that snowball that accumulated for several years, and then we get to a point where he's 28 and he's like, I can't fucking do this anymore. It's been ridiculous.
It's so annoying. This reminds me. I literally feel like I'm that Anthony Edwards might be that KG meme back a few years ago when he shot that movie. It's like, why the fuck would you show me something if I can't have it? You go ahead and you like give him Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. You guys finally figure it out. You make it to the Western Conference Final, the most success that you guys have had in over 12, 15 years, and you snatch it away
20,
all because of roster flexibility and all the financial freedom and shit like that. And I get it. I understand it. I was the most positive of that trade, but it just sucks when
I let you convince me months later that it could be decent. I hated that shit.
And it still could be, but like right now when you're losing like this and you have Anthony Edwards, again, you only have so many like times to strike in the NBA. Injuries happen and all that. And when you're just like self-sabotaging this early into like your new revamp of your franchise, it just sucks to see. Yeah.
And again, I said this last episode when we did our power rankings that they're in the same spot right now that the Mavs were right before the Kyrie trade, where they had to really retool. Things were going poorly. Or I guess just to say right after the Kyrie trade, whenever they fucking crumbled after doing that. That's where the Timberwolves are. They're not cooked. They have a star under contract for a long time. And he's not going to like it. He's going to hate that you're wasting a couple great years. But you can do it. You have a lot of years ahead of you that if you spend 18 months rebuilding, you can make the right moves. You can get a PJ Washington, a Kyrie Irving, a Daniel Gafford, a Quentin Grimes, really build up these role players through small transactions like Nico Mannion has. That's possible for them. But you got to get it going. You got to pick a plan. It's always possible. It's tough. You don't see it in the moment. We were low on the Mavs because we didn't see it coming. It was like we were saying, how do you get yourself out of this? That's why you picked him to be 11 the next year, because it was like, I don't see how you fucking fix this.
I specifically like the Kyrie move. Like the Kyrie move for me is one of the deals in the NBA where I feel like it's a very unique deal because of all the circumstances and all the stuff that was surrounding Kyrie. And so to get a guy to get like a top 30 guy for borderline top 30 guy, whatever, to get a player like that for as cheap as they did, I do feel like that's a unique situation. And for like the Timberwolves, who gave a lot of their draft capital up to go get Rudy Gobert, it's not like they have a wealth of assets right now to go make something like that.
Well, it's been a few years, and but people don't think about it because you think about the Timberwolves as a team with no draft picks, and it's already been 30 years since that. So it comes back, replenishes. That's what I'm saying. 18 more months. By the time that comes up, you'll be 4.5 years removed from the Gobert trade. You'll have a decent amount of picks again, just like the Mavs gave up picks for Kristaps Porzingis. By the time that came around, they had a few to send out for Washington, Gafford, etc. That's where they had to be. They had to do that, and that's got to be the mindset. And they just have to. This year, the question is, how do you start that process? How do you put yourself down the path that by the end of next year, shit looks brighter? Yeah,
but in 18 more months, Rudy Gobert is going to be 33, 34 years old. Like it's going to be. You're gonna have.
Tough. I didn't say it was easy.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to replace two guys on that team as Anthony Edwards is entering the prime, trademark. Like that is gonna have to be the key, and it's just hard. And I know that they've made that move. They traded Cat so that they had the flexibility to do that. Is this a front office that would do it again? That is scared of spending big money to go out and maximize Ant's prime and do all that? We'll see, right? Because
we'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out. So,
all right, what's your next team? Let's do a contender. We've been talking so much big picture about teams that make moves. Donovan, give us a team that's actually good right now that we're actually asking a question about this season.
The Orlando Magic are good right now, and one question that I have is, when we talked about it before, can Franz and Paolo both play at A+ level at the same time this season? If you can do that, the Orlando Magic are as dangerous as ever. They can mess up a lot of people's plans. I'm looking at you, the Cleveland Cavaliers, because they are. If you have two wings who can score the ball at a high level, Franz who can distribute the ball really, really well, play good defense, do everything, you already have the infrastructure and the culture there. It's so very clear that they are going to outfight and out-hustle everybody on any given night. Having both of your two young stars who you have just recently paid and put all of your efforts into, if they can take the leap at the same time, oh my goodness, that is what you will see. Like what we saw from the Timberwolves last year. We were like, oh my God, is Anthony Edwards Michael Jordan? And like, is Karl-Anthony Towns playing the best ball of his career? Yes, both of those things were happening or like look like it. And you get a conference finals run. That can happen with the Orlando Magic, and their timeline can go to the moon in the next 3 months if both of them can come back and get clicking really, really quickly.
Yeah, them it's easy. It's not even a question, it's like a hope. The question is, will we be lucky enough to have a healthy run? Because we know what we can be.
These guys are dogs, man.
Yeah, they're dogs, but they're injured dogs at this point in time. Yeah. Left and right, someone's always going out.
And the question is, obviously, are we going to see Franz Wagner be able to hit that star level he hit when he was alone, when Paolo's there? Is his shooting going to be good enough? Isn't going to be enough touches to go around for him to be this lead playmaker he was showing he could be? Is he capable of producing as a second star?
Yeah. I personally, if we're projecting, I think he can. And part of that is just, I've always been high on Franz. And so I just have this like innate belief in him. But also, I think that it just makes so much sense that you guys have, like, the Magic have needed a point guard. They've needed playmaking for, the last 2 years. And you just don't have to force Paolo to do it. You don't have to, we are seeing it with Anthony Edwards, and you try to make these bucket getters run everything. That's not always the best case. Just if you let Paolo focus more on bucket getting than being a true point forward and control everything and be a lead playmaker, and you tell Franz, you can have the ball in your hands. Now, you don't have to go out and get 30, but you can still have the ball in your hands and be impactful. That, on paper and theoretically, feels like it works so perfectly. And so that's why I do have hope that both of them can get it clicking at the same time.
Let Franz be German Scottie Pippen.
Please.
Let him be the playmaking wing.
Please.
Nah, that's hilarious, bro.
All right, Mo, what's next?
Okay, we can go ahead and stay in the Eastern Conference. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks.
Good one.
They've looked like a different team compared to the first five games of the year compared to the last 5 games that they played. You know, they went ahead and won the IST, got that championship, extra
The
500K.
Emirates NBA Cup. How many times must I correct you?
Sir, come on now.
I am respecter of oil. You are correct. My bad. Big my bad. But
not the season term anymore.
All right. But everything has been clicking at the right time. They've had their guys like Derry Bird and then Andre Jackson. They've emerged and they've concealed, that 2 spot. There's so many situations which 2 of these guys can fill in all types of gaps. Derry Bird obviously is the guy who's an absolute sniper. But he's also, I love it, bro. But then he's also gonna fight his ass off defensively, but he's not gonna be as good of a defender as someone like Andre Jackson. Andre Jackson is, but Andre Jackson just can't. He's not a consistent shooter whatsoever. So they've stumbled their way into some level of consistency when it comes to their 2-guard spot, which was a big concern to start the season. They've had like new life now, jolted when it comes to that spot. Giannis is playing inspired basketball on the defensive end, which is new and great for them. Chris Middleton has recently come back and he's starting to hit those strides. He hasn't been the normal Chris Middleton that we're used to seeing. But my question is like, how healthy can Chris Middleton be? Because if he's there, then I'm looking at this team that feels really rejuvenated. They have a new spirit, new life. I'm looking at this team in a different light. I'm not going to say like, yeah, they're looking at the Boston Celtics in the eyes and they're actual contenders just yet. They are contenders. When you have Giannis, you're always contender. But how serious of a team are you? And I think Chris Middleton is that swing factor.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Chris Middleton has to be healthy. We've all said it forever that they have to have all 4 of their old guys healthy to win. That's a given. But that's, that's luck, right? Can he be healthy or not isn't something they can control. What I do think is more interesting, somebody you mentioned, my biggest question for them is, can Andre Jackson survive a playoff series? He's the biggest swing factor. Shout out everything AJ Green gives them. Fantastic off the bench to have that jolt. Their defense works now because of Andre Jackson, like you said. Mm-hmm. And it's not like if we can get him to be there, great. If not, we'll figure it out. No, he has to be able to be the core of their defense in a playoff series. He is the biggest swing factor for them. If he can hit enough threes to stay on the court and not be something that kills their offense, he can give them a defensive identity that will make a legit difference.
Yeah, I like it. I like the Bucks, man. I thought that I was done. I thought that I was out. But they've turned a corner, and you can start seeing them be, a very sneaky team in the Eastern Conference. And I'll say this: I wouldn't be shocked at this point if we looked up and it's the Bucks and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I feel like that is completely different than how I felt about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, when a lot of things felt like the sky were falling. And you see the building blocks. And I think, like Mo said, seeing Chris Middleton come back, I played it off all offseason because I was like, this is like, obviously I know how connective Chris is specifically for that team. There's just no way he could be that important to everything that they do. And
nobody is.
In the limited minutes, every time he's out there, you're like, oh, so this is what you guys are like trying to do. This is what the vision is. And it's just wild how singularly important he is to that team, to what they do, and to how their ceiling is. It's really crazy.
Honestly, it is crazy until you think about it. You need more than 2 guys who can dribble to be a good offense, and they only have 2, and Chris is out. And having 3, I think I said this on the stream. 3 is only 1 more than 2, but in terms of this specific thing, it makes a lot bigger of a difference than you would think just off of being 1 extra guy. Like, it's 33% more ball handling. That's a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. And Dame's not like a generational passer whatsoever. This is one of the most like mediocre parts of his game that you just like kind of gloss over. And having a guy like Chris Middleton who can just like alleviate some of the frustration that Dame is just born to face with when it comes to being the elite level scorer that he is. Chris Middleton is just the perfect guy to alleviate stress and just handle some responsibilities on that end.
Mm-hmm.
This needy ass cat was crying because I wasn't petting her, so she jumped in my lap just now, and now she's demanding me pet her.
Oh, adorable.
Cutie patootie.
Well, yeah, the Bucks are clearly on the up and up. I declared after week 2 that I'm done with them. I'm done having hope in them because I spent the last 2 years since I got a Damian Lillard continuing to be disappointed because I've been the highest in the world in them and they've disappointed me. I'm just not going to buy back into the hype.
It's
I should.
okay. I'll save
they're
a seat
team
for you on the train. I'll save a seat.
Yeah, no,
for you.
I'm not. I don't think they're bad, but in terms of like emotionally, I'm not letting them get me excited again because I've been burned too many times.
Yeah, I'm not. I can see a world where it happens. I'm not personally putting my money into that stock.
Emotional damage.
Yeah,
I'm done. Let's talk about another team that's emotionally damaging me night in, night out. The Los Angeles Lakers. What is the biggest question for the Lakers this year? They're just a weird fucking team, man. There's been weeks where they look so bad that people are going doom and gloom, like their hair is done. Oh. Then there's been stretches like early in the season where it's like, hey man, they're kind of good. Maybe JJ Redick's the guy. They got to make some moves. The truth is, when you're an inconsistent, mediocre team, you have ups and downs like that. So every other week we can come in, we can have a different opinion on them. So the biggest question is, what type of team do they want to be? What identity do they want to choose? Because the first beginning part of the season, in which they started off really strong, they were very offensive leaning. They were a top 6 offense for the first like 12 games of the year while being pretty bad defensively. It was like 25 or something like that. Then they had that rough stretch where the numbers got wonky because they just played really terribly. And then the last 6 games, they're 26th in offense now. They're bottom of the barrel. It was 30th in offense for a couple games, but second in defense. They have been locking people the fuck down. Since JJ Redick decided, he looked around this roster and he saw that his switch everything defense was going very poorly because Rui Hachimura has the worst off-ball awareness I've ever seen from a wing of his stature, and D'Angelo Russell's not good at switching, all these different things. He realized he couldn't be hard-headed. The type of team that he wanted to coach wasn't the type of team he had. He couldn't switch everything. Anthony Davis spent too much time on the three-point line, so he wasn't there to bail out these terrible defenders at the rim. He decided to go to a different, more versatile defense. They're running a lot of drop coverage these days where the guards are fighting over the screens, and Anthony Davis is playing a traditional center role and being able to be the backline help and save these guys. And that's led to a good defense that's really been clamping the last 6 games. But like I said, they are a mediocre team. They will have ups and downs like this. So we're not buying the hype. We're not saying this team is elite defensively now. That would be foolish. But they've clearly shown that this focus they put to the defensive side has inversely hurt them offensively. They're 26th in offense now. So are they going to be this team now? Are they going to go all in on defense and play this style and get back in transition defense so it hurts their transition offense and do all this stuff that prioritizes the defensive end? Are they going to try to find a middle ground? Are they going to go back to early season where they just run teams off the court offensively? And they have to pick a strategy there. And I'm assuming they're going to do something at the deadline. They're going to make some kind of trade. They have to keep in mind what role they want these players to have on what type of team they want to be.
And I think that they will be somewhere in the middle, depending on the day. That is right. Like that is what the Lakers have been, this season. Like depending on the day. Penny, can we relax, please?
She want to get a word out, dog. You trying to silence her?
Let her podcast. Let her get her takes off.
She ain't got nothing to say. She has nothing to say.
Penny, you gonna take that?
Yeah, I just don't think that the roster's flawed. Like they're not. It's not a great team, and so
for sure.
Do I think that the Lakers can do this for 6 games, maybe 2 weeks? Yeah, but guess what? In 2 weeks, we're gonna come back here and we're gonna be like, oh yeah, like JJ, he's so like he's doing a really good job. He figured out how to maximize his defense, and then they're gonna have lapses in defense because their defensive personnel is not good, and they'll try to revert back to their offense, and it's just gonna be waves. And I agree with Isaac's question. I would just wait until the trade deadline to answer it. And
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They have the next 2 months to decide what their identity they want to do and make a trade for that. If they want to be a better 3-point shooting team and lean offense, go get Cam Johnson. If you want to go all in on defense, maybe get Dorian Finney-Smith. Maybe you find other pieces I'm not thinking of off the top of my head right now. Maybe Jonas Valanciunas, whatever it may be. The type of moves they make are going to be wholly dependent on which way they want to slant their team.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree on all ends, bro. Last 6 games, you're right. They've been playing a better defense. I think the last 6 games they played like the Kings twice, and somewhere in that like the Timberwolves fall into that too. And in all 3 of those
They've
games,
been brutalizing the
like
Kings. They've been running trains on the Kings.
Yeah, they scored like 90. They let the Kings score like just about 100 points, and the Timberwolves scored like 97 points, bro. So they've been doing everything when it comes to what they're supposed to do against these offenses. It just depends on the week and who they're facing. Overall, you just have a mid product because you have a mid roster, and that's because you have a mid GM who's just paralyzed your organization, similar to the Golden State Warriors. And there's nothing we can do. We're just waiting here until natural.
Of course. But there is. It's not everything is like, oh, the team sucks. Oh, like there is. They have team and players in front of them that are not horrible, and these are coaching decisions that can change. So. It's not fully doom and gloom. Like teams just made. It's going to be what it is. Like they can decide the identity they want. Like they are clearly. This can go different paths. That's not all on Rob Pelinka's shoulders. JJ Redick can do some things.
I feel like he can do some things, but there's only so much he can do with the things that he has.
Sure, I'm not saying they're going to win a chip either way. like if in terms of what's actually in front of them.
Can they win a playoff series?
With what's in front of him, to you, like defensively, how does it look like this team could like thrive?
I don't know. I think I guess the difference is I'm not thinking as big picture with this question.
Yeah,
you guys think about it like through can they win a chip? I'm not. This isn't a chip team. I'm not focusing on that. I'm just saying for what this team can be, they can pick an identity. But either way, they're not getting to a chip.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm trying not to make everything so big picture and all these moves. Like some of these teams, we can just talk about who they are on the court. And the Lakers have to be one of them because they're not doing shit in the big picture.
Gotcha.
Small picture wise, I just hope they can get another useful wing who can help get them closer to whatever mid goal it is.
Mid goal. What's your next team, Donovan?
I have one more team before we get to at least before I enter my lightning round. And I want to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers because they've had a very interesting week. They've had Joel Embiid ejected and crash out on the floor against the Spurs. They went into Boston, beat the Celtics on Christmas Day.
Ooh.
Right? Listen, really, really big win. Really, honestly, like a good win for them. And the fact that you can have all 3 of those guys in terms of Embiid, Maxey, Paul George out on the floor, go on the road, big spot, get a dub. That's showing something, and it lays a foundation moving forward. However, my question for them is, I don't even want to talk about Embiid's health. Obviously, that's the biggest question. I don't want to go there. My thing is with Paul George. Is Paul George gonna show up? Because Paul George has not been fantastic this season, and now
he's their biggest question for sure.
Like you see what Maxey can do alongside Embiid when Embiid is on. And you know that if Joel Embiid is there, I trust Maxey to be out there taking big shots in crunch time situations, being able to get downhill, play off of Embiid, be really good in a 2-man game. If Joel Embiid can be 75 to 80% of himself, which is probably what we're going to get in a playoff series, he can still go out there and get you 27-9. We'll see if he is there, but whatever. Paul George is the guy that they brought in to take them over the hump. Paul George is the guy who they said, we're getting rid of Tobias Harris and we are replacing him with Paul George, a guy who can create his own shot, a guy who can play off ball, a guy who can be a very connective piece between our 1 and 2 stars. Right now, Paul George is shooting 40% from the field. He's having his worst 3-point shooting season since his rookie year. He is not shooting well. He's not being that guy. And if that is the version of Paul George, max contract Paul George, you are essentially getting Tobias Harris. And if that's the case, then your ceiling is extremely limited. And I'm worried about the Sixers. If everything else is good, I'm worried about the Sixers because Paul George is not playing well.
Yeah, I was watching this game and my first thought, not first thought, but a random thought I had midway through the game, I was like, man, the Sixers role players are fucking boring. This cast isn't bad, isn't great. It's just cookie cutter and vanilla. I was like, why is that? I was thinking like, damn, we kind of had some hopes for this team. Their role players are kind of mid. I thought about it.
Really?
Oh yeah. I forgot. They have 3 star players and you can only do so much. And they've done a pretty good job of what they could do there. But I forgot there's 3 max players here. And you forget that because Paul George either has been hurt or not producing this year. So you kind of forget that like, oh yeah, he's a star player.
Yeah.
And other thought here in this game, Tyrese Maxey is the biggest. I've never seen a player be so starkly different when they're playing next to their star player or without. Without Joel Embiid, he's cool. He can carry your team and do what he can, but he's inefficient because he's just asked to do too much. But man, when he can play off of Joel Embiid, off that gravity, he is a goddamn goon. So you were 100% right. If Joel Embiid's healthy, he's going to be Joel Embiid. He's still a good player. We'll just see if that health can be there consistently enough. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, whatever.
And Tyrese Maxey is a goon when he's playing next to Joel Embiid. So and the role players are going to just be the role players. Everything comes down to Paul George. He will swing them.
Yeah, I agree. The Cody Martin, I believe that's the one in Boston. Caleb Martin. Yeah, that's the one in Philadelphia. He's gonna do what he does. Gerson Yabusele has actually been like really good, considering he was out of the league for like 4 or 5 years or whatever. Dude. Kyle Lowry is gonna do all the nitty gritty on the ground type things and whatnot. And it's all on Paul George's shoulder. He's currently having the worst stretch of his like entire career. He's shooting like 29% from the field over the last 4 games, and he's averaging like 11 points. So this is like the worst that he'll be. At least I hope this is the worst.
My only fear is I don't think it's so. Part of it's rust, part of it's getting used to the system, yada yada. We'll give him some credit. He's getting no lift under the rim. Like he is not a threat driving to the rim very much at all. He does some veteran stuff, with the elbows and the drives and using contact to get some open layups and using his length a little bit, but he is really ground bound right now. And the defense hasn't been terrible. I've seen some fans pointing out the defense has been good. Cool. And he's compensating for it. He knows his shot isn't going in, so he's trying hard there. He needs to do that as a third star. But I don't know. Part of it might just be the age. I don't know. Like the shot can go in more, but he's not as athletic as he once was. He's not getting lift on his finishing under the rim. I don't know if we're really going to see a great version of Paul George this year.
Yeah, he's 34. He's had multiple lower leg injuries in his career. And sometimes when it goes, and it's okay. And like he can still be. We also saw this. We kind of saw the writing on the wall last year, where even when Kawhi is gone and he's in a bigger role and he's the second star. Honestly, the kind of like the first star, because like James Harden wasn't being this version of James Harden. He's not like dominating the offense this way. So Paul George was still in a position to where he could have been a very, very impactful offensive player. And we're watching last year and we're like, like you kind of see him diminishing a little bit. And so it might just be the natural progression of an older NBA player who's gone through some stuff and now he's in a new system, adjusting to everything. It's a lot of stuff coming to fruition at one time. And it's kind of like a cliff. And so like, we'll see. We'll see if Paul George can be there.
So the question is, can he adapt to even smaller role? But if you're right, and it is just who he is, and can Tyrese Maxey be this much of a goon as he's been the past 2 games that it can be okay? Because your second star is just like the best secondary star in the fucking league, maybe.
But if your third star is a max guy, and
it's not great.
Like for all the reasons that you said, the surrounding players are not like they don't have a ceiling of like maybe Caleb Martin because he just does whatever. If Caleb Martin does what he did last night, and he hits 6 threes, 7 threes, whatever, that's cool. If you are saying, hey, I need Caleb Martin to shoot 6 or 7 threes, you are now in Miami Heat black magic territory where you have to summon whatever voodoo, and you're not supposed to do that because you paid this guy $212 million.
They don't have a Derek White. Not every team has the luxury of having just elite role players. So you need your top guys to carry, especially when you acquire those guys like a Paul George, you get them in free agency. You're not going to have the luxury of having this kind of team building strategy where you can be more widespread.
Yeah,
it's okay with Paul George like having old age and like all these injuries finally catching up to him. But if you're gonna like be past your prime to this extent, like you still need to find ways to be hyper productive. And we've seen that time and time again. Old players find their old man game. We've seen it with LeBron. We've seen all types of players like Tim Duncan back in the day just figure out ways to just be productive offensively and not try to do the old things that he did and just evolve his game. Paul George needs to find that bag, whatever it is, whether it be like his shooting, because he's truly been a great shooter throughout his career. This season, he can't hit the rim at all. Hopefully he can hang his hat on that end. But other than that, they're absolutely fried. And this is a Joel Embiid dependent team.
They're not fried. Paul George is fried. And maybe their championship hopes are maybe fried if their third star isn't a star.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't say they're fried though, because if Joel Embiid, okay, never say that. Maybe you're right, because I don't. You can't get too happy about the Joel Embiid health situation.
Yeah.
He's been back for 2 games. It's been cool, but that could quickly change. If Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are healthy, they're not fried. I think you still have a good chance. Maybe you're fried insofar as you're not beating the Celtics, which is what it's all about when you have 3 stars. So I know that's your point. So I don't want to say like it's crazy, but they have a high floor if they have Joel Embiid and Paul George. Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey.
If Jared McCain didn't get hurt, then we would be talking about this team a little bit different, because like, okay, Paul George, you can't shoot, you can't do none of this shit. It doesn't fucking matter, because we got this like 6'1" TikTok star demon on the bench waiting.
Never mind, they're fried. You got it. They're fried.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, my next team is going to be the Indiana Pacers. I think the questions are super simple. Can Tyrese Halliburton get back to his old ways? If you want to dive deeper than that, cool. We can talk about the Benedict Mathurin of the world, or we could talk about how much of a difference maker Andrew Nembhard has been, But at the end of the day, no matter how good all these outlier pieces are, the conversation starts and stops with Tyrese Halliburton if he's ever able to reach a certain level of stardom. Like, I love what Andrew Nembhard is doing since he's came back. He's filled in a lot of gaps. He's a great defensive player. He's the perfect piece alongside Tyrese Halliburton. But, like, there's only so much that he can do. He's not raising this team back to one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the Eastern Conference. Like, that goes behind Tyrese Halliburton.
Can we stop talking about the Pacers?
You don't like them?
You're cool with that?
Tommy hurt?
You cool with that?
Yeah, I'm all right.
We can end the conversation there.
I'm just kidding, but I have no thoughts on the Pacers, man. They are. I just feel like every time we talk about them, we beat the Tyrese Halliburton drum.
Yeah,
and I'm sure fans of the Pacers are a little tired of that because there's more to the team. These national podcasts only want to talk about and hate on their star. They don't talk about X, Y, and Z. I find them so uninteresting. I have no thoughts on them. They're just the Pacers. They're the Hawks. They're 15-15. They're gonna stay 15-15. Are the equivalent of that for the rest of the year. They are just mid, and I don't necessarily think it's going to change. So I don't know what to ask.
The only thing that can get them outside of mid is if like Benedict Mathurin just like explodes, which he has a slight chance to, because there's certain things in his game that give him a pathway to being a certain level of star player. But outside of that, like, they are what they are.
You keep holding on to that Benedict Mathurin stock you bought 2.5 years ago. I hope you strike gold. I hope you strike gold. Nobody else has said the words Benedict Mathurin and star in the same sentence besides you in the past year, but I hope you strike gold.
Whoa. Pacers fans, you hear that? It's madness.
I don't think Pacers fans are considering Benedict Mathurin a star anymore.
You don't speak for all Pacers fans, brother.
I don't. Thank God. Yeah, maybe they'll comment and tell us we're crazy and that he's him, but I don't know. I just find them so boring. They're so boring.
Who's someone more exciting you want to talk about?
The Sacramento Kings.
That's not even more exciting.
It might be.
They're exciting for the wrong reasons, though.
We might be freed from Sacramento Kings basketball in a couple of years in terms of this iteration of them. The past couple of weeks, I don't know if y'all been paying attention. If you guys are familiar with one Richard Paul or one Shams Charania, but they've been talking about De'Aaron Fox, and they've been throwing smoke in the air that there is a fire brewing that might be the De'Aaron Fox trade request this summer. That might be brewing pretty soon. They're putting it out there that if they don't start winning and they don't produce results, he will start thinking about his future. They're soft launching a trade request if they don't make a deep playoff run. Unless they prove to him that they have something magical that they unlock in the second half of the season, I think we're going to be entering a De'Aaron Fox trade this summer. Woo-hoo! That feels like nearly inevitable. So what's the question for the Kings? What can you do in this next 4 months to convince De'Aaron Fox to stay? That is the question. They are a mediocre team that was mediocre last year. They went out and acquired DeMar DeRozan. None of us liked it, but we weren't in favor of the trade, but we were polite about it because we recognized they didn't give up a ton, and we recognized that DeMar's a good player that we don't want to slander necessarily, but we all politely said, fit don't make sense. It just doesn't at all. And that's what it was. We were like, they essentially upgraded Harrison Barnes, so I don't think they'll be worse. You can't really get worse than that. They didn't give up a ton. They've been worse. The fit has not made sense. The DeMar DeRozan experience has made them worse. I think we can say that. All the reasons that we said it doesn't work, it's been a detractor, not neutral. They're not going to trade him, right? So they're DeMar, De'Aaron, Sabonis, Keegan Murray. That's set. Do you want to give up assets to make this team better and try to convince De'Aaron to stay if you already have an idea that he's willing to leave? Maybe not. So that makes it difficult to convince him if you're not willing to give up assets in case he still wants to leave. It's a difficult question. I don't know if it has a good answer, but the question is, how can you convince him to stay?
I'm not sure. And earlier you had said, like, when we were talking about the Pistons, we were like, yeah, certain teams have been like, yeah, like maybe we shouldn't tank because we might turn into the Pistons. It's kind of the same thing for the Kings. Like maybe you don't want to tank because you could be the Kings. Up until like 2 years ago, the Kings had the longest playoff drought in the entire league. They have been in a position where they've been so inept of any type of talent or success that I'm not sure if it's wise for them to be so willing / so accommodating to a trade request. And now it is Domantas Sabonis and friends. Because that right there will get you into the top 10 of the lottery, like hands down. If you have Sabonis and nothing else, you are going to be one of the 10 worst teams in the NBA. But I also think that like it sucks to say, and you want to please your fans, gotta do what you gotta do because this team they haven't taken any steps forward. You've bet on continuity before, it hasn't worked. You've bet on De'Aaron and Sabonis and this core. They couldn't beat the Warriors in a first round series a couple years ago. Like it's not great. And I don't have a lot of faith in them. I don't have a lot of trust. You might just have to tear it all down and start again, which is not what Kings fans want to hear because you just got good, like you just got competent, and I'm sorry, but you got to start over.
Yeah, and even then, it's tricky to like want to start over because Atlanta holds semi-rights to their picks this year or possibly next year if it doesn't convey. Probably won't convey this year. So Sacramento owes Atlanta their pick if it lands anywhere between 1 to 10 in the year 2026. And they're just like kind of strapped into you have to be somewhat good. You can't be complete trash because you're going to be trash for no reason. Mm-hmm. After 2026, they have all their own picks. I'm not worried about that. But it sucks to see the timing of things right now because it's like, okay, if you can hold on to De'Aaron Fox for just another year, cool, I would love that. But do they have enough moves in them to go ahead and do so? Yes, those moves are draft picks because they have every single one of them outside of this year or whatever next year since they're held by Atlanta for a little bit. Do you want to gamble that? Do you want to risk your future away and invest more into this weird, funky core of DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. De'Aaron Fox has given them plenty of time. They've done absolutely nothing to put him in a position to succeed. And he is a player of a certain caliber. Rep by clutch, they understand the power of his stardom and what he can be in the right situation. They understand that if he's playing next to Victor Wembanyama or if he was playing in a big market, he can be a true superstar and he can have that sort of notoriety that gets you paid big and makes you a really, really high-level player and that's respected in all facets of media. He can be that, and he's kind of just waiting around, giving them a chance to put him in that spot, but they've proven they can't. And they've made their swings on Sabonis for him, then DeRozan for him. It's gotten you to the same exact place. They're realistically out of options. There's no way for them to convince him to stay.
It's so funny that they finally found their identity and then ran the complete opposite way from that and decided to like stagnate. Okay, we stagnated. We believed in a certain young player to be the third option, whatnot. Not necessarily that. Kind of put too much onto his shoulders. Now let's go ahead and get another absolute bucket getter who doesn't fit our identity and just run even further away from what made us popping into the NBA scene just a few years ago and make a lot of noise. Yeah, they self-sabotaged like hell, bro.
Yeah. And we'll see if they can fix it, get out of it, but it's a really terrible spot to be in as a small market team. I'll say that.
I agree.
But hey, they can trade DeRozan. I mean, they could trade Fox. They can trade Sabonis. They can get a good amount of picks of those two players if they end up having to do that. So it could be a decent opportunity to get into a rebuild. You'd rather have 2 stars to trade than one that could leave for like De'Aaron can't leave for nothing. So if you're gonna have to do a rebuild, having 2 all-stars to trade is a decent place to start it from.
Yeah, I agree.
And now it is time for the lightning round.
Woohoo.
All the teams that we didn't have that much to say about, we're going to loop them together. Not that they're not relevant, but it's just there's no we can't narrow it down to one question very well. So we're gonna kind of loop them together. Donovan, you go first. Who's in your lightning round?
I feel like the king of the lightning round, the Chicago Bulls. And my question for them is: Do you have anything for the fans to be excited about?
Cat's being insane.
Oh,
Look at her. She's on my chair. Yeah, she's been running around. I'm so scared she's gonna knock shit over. She's jumping through all these cords and stuff.
She's gonna jump, and it's gonna look crazy.
She's the queen of the jungle. I love it.
She is.
She's insane.
But yeah, like for the Bulls, do you have anything for your fans to be excited about? I feel like constantly the fan base of this team is always like, what are we doing? Why are we here? Why are we here? And even now, when you thought that like, okay, DeRozan being gone, we're maybe in the direction of a tank, they are exactly where they want to be in the front office. The 9 seed, the 13-17. I just don't know how I can feel any type of good about this team moving forward. And I would, if I was a fan of this team, can you give me one thing in the offseason? Whether if it's a consolidation trade, a draft pick, new jerseys, a promotion of like free chicken or something, like at the end of games if somebody misses free throws. Can you give me something that I can
give
be
back
happy
to the
about?
community? Make yourself useful, Bulls.
Yes.
You know what?
That's too much talk for a lightning round. No more yap at the Bulls. Who's next?
One thing that I will say that is super cool about the Bulls.
No,
Modest
lightning
Buzella.
round.
So, anyways, Modest Buzelis, his nickname, they call that man Lil Boozy Vert. That shit hard as hell.
That's cool.
Hard as hell.
That's cool.
But anyways,
all right, next on my
Glad
lightning
to have
round.
that.
Yeah, next on my lightning round, the Portland Trailblazers. Internally or externally, you have to make a decision about Scoot Henderson. That is
What's the decision?
that
Like,
is it.
They can't get rid of him. He's just going to be a backup player and just hope he can have a role. What decision is there to make?
You have to make a decision. I don't know what it is.
What does that mean?
I don't know if he has to listen. I don't know if he has to go. I don't know if you want him to
what do you
stay.
mean go? You want him to die? What do you mean by that? Make a decision. Cloaks over your head.
You have to make a choice. He's 2 years in. We've seen front offices before trick themselves into players 2 years in. They just have to decide, do you actually believe in this guy like 100%? If you do, I don't believe in him like that. But if you do, then okay, let's start making moves to build around Scoot. If not, then it's that. That is the decision. And then the last team that I have in my lightning round is the Washington Wizards. And I just want to know, Alex Sarr, what are you going to work on in the offseason? Because Alex Sarr offensively, he does not get to the rim a lot. He shoots a lot of threes, but he does not shoot it at a very high percentage. So are you going to work on getting to the rim more, right? Getting shots closer? Or are you going to work on the shot that you take a very, high percentage of your shots come from, but you don't hit at a high clip? I want to know what the growth in his offensive game is going to be. That is my big question for them.
Okay.
What a lightning round.
I have three teams in my lightning round. First off, the Pelicans, who, what is their big question? Their team is destroyed by injuries. The question is, who are they going to trade? We've talked about it at length. Apparently Zion's available. We know Ingram's available. We know McCollum's available. Maybe they make a move. Maybe they don't. All we can do is wait and see because their season is lost. I have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are so good that they don't really have a big question. They've answered it. Their core is their core. They're going to stay together for the foreseeable future. My question is, do you feel like you need one more big wing? Do you try to make a small move? Maybe try to trade Karis LeVert, who is having a very good season. Maybe you can sell high and get somebody that, is a better defender for a long time. Maybe you try to reshuffle a piece where you feel like maybe you don't feel super good about Dean Wade and Okoro. I think you probably should. They're pretty good, but maybe you have one small move you want to make. And the Grizzlies, same thing. Do you feel like you need one more small move, a consolidation trade? Do you need a Cam Johnson? Do you need a Dorian Finney-Smith? Whoever it may be. You're pretty goddamn good. You have a unique play style that's very good in the regular season. Maybe you feel like you need a little more firepower for it to translate to the playoffs.
I love it. Speaking of pretty damn good, here's my lightning round. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They are one of the best defenses that we've seen over the last 5 years. They are the number 1 seed, meanwhile missing one of their 2-3 best players, however you view Chet Holmgren. They're struggling with shooting. Chet Holmgren will fix that as soon as he gets there, but regardless of the fact, they're still runaway number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Not much to say over there. Also, reigning NBA champions, the Boston Celtics. Elite team. They've consistently had minor tic-tac injuries to their guys. We all know the Eastern Conference has been a lot better this year compared to last year. We have real contender or real steppers now, and the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks are better and whatnot. The Cleveland Cavaliers looks like the best version of themselves. What will the Celtics do to? What's wrong with your cat? What's going on?
She's being insane. She's sprinting back and forth across. Go ahead.
Dude, I need to see this visually actually one day, bro. It's hilarious. But yeah, the Boston Celtics, they're going to face tougher competition. Will Porzingis be there at the start of the postseason to help alleviate the pains? Who knows? Doesn't matter because I think they might win it all just again this season. The Dallas Mavericks, they again went to the NBA Finals last year, but as of late, it seems like Luka Doncic has like real health issues, and their season is just entirely contingent on him. I have nothing to say about the roster. Derek Lively starts now. Cool beans. They're an elite team already. Just contingent on Luka Doncic and his health right now. And the last team that I have for my lightning round is the San Antonio Spurs. We've seen Wemby fully, like we're watching him ascend right into our eyes. We all agreed he's a top 10 player. I think last
Put the
night.
Spurs in the lightning round?
Damn. Yeah, we can talk about them right now. They're one of my last 4 teams.
All right, let's talk about them because they're interesting.
Yeah, like we're witnessing Wemby assemble right now in front of our eyes. Last podcast, we all agreed that he's a top 10 player. Last night, you said that. Last night you said that you feel like he's like a top 6, 7 player on your Twitter. And I can't sit down and argue with you much when it comes to that claim whatsoever because he's doing it offensively, defensively. He's the defensive player of the year, even though the Spurs haven't been elite this year. He's just that impactful single-handedly. In my mind, when I think about the Spurs, I'm just looking at the other guys.
Yeah, the question is obviously, okay, so I'll respond to what you just said. We ranked him at 10 last week in our power rankings. That was way too low. He went absolutely berserk on Christmas. He is a top 5 players in the world. Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Tatum, Shea, whatever order you want. Those the clear-cut top tier. As soon as you exit that tier, you have Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards.
He's better than Anthony Edwards. I'm
Victor
so
Wembanyama.
confident in saying that now. He's better than Anthony Edwards.
Victor Wembanyama is in that tier.
In Ant's game.
Maybe you put him in the back half right now because of Prove It Still. He's in that tier. He's not number 10. He can be as high as 6, maybe 7 or 8, whatever you want. The new combo for me is he better than Anthony Davis right now? He's close. I'm still go AD by a hair, but he has entered those talks. And we think back to the last player who has entered these talks at this age is Luka Doncic, who was first team All-NBA in his second year. What did they do? They weren't able to keep rebuilding. They had to enter win now mode. The next summer, they traded for Kristaps Porzingis. The big question for the Spurs is, are you going to remain patient? Are you going to be the Thunder, where you have Shea playing like an all-star for like 3 years and you tell him, fucking deal with it, we're going to keep drafting, don't get too excited? Or are you going to be the Mavs? Are you going to say, we're too good, we got to make a win now trade, he makes it so we can't tank, so we might as well make it so we can be competitive around this young star? That is a big question because they have future picks. They traded Rob Dillingham for a 2031 Timberwolves pick. That's essentially a trade asset. That's why they did that. They have all their other picks. They have some Atlanta Hawks assets. They have young players. They can enter the mix. If any single star player that becomes available, the Spurs have the ammo to go and get them. The cap space, the salary, the draft picks, whatever matters, they can make it happen. Do they want that to happen? Do they feel like they have young players that are worth keeping around if that happens? Is Vassell set in stone? Or can you trade him for a De'Aaron Fox? Castle's shown signs. He's still an inefficient rookie. Do you feel like he's your point guard of the future? I don't know. Sohan's been defending well. Is he your power forward of the future? Your one big you want to put next to Wemby? I don't know. A lot in the air, but they have to pick a path because they're put in this specific situation that only the Mavs have been in recent years.
And that is why, to me, they're not interesting because it's so clear. It's so very clear because the Mavs, because go get somebody. Like stop waiting. The Mavs did it. It didn't hit, right? But you saw what happened. Like after they traded away Kristaps Porzingis and they were trying to, tell Luka like, okay, like be patient. Before they went and got Kyrie, there was already the rumblings, the smoke of like, oh, Luka's unhappy. It's not going down the right way. Like, is he gonna, move in a certain way? Are we eventually moving towards a Luka trade? We've already seen Wemby is insanely competitive. Wemby's not going to sit around here and be like, yeah, I'm okay with just not being competitive for 3 years. No, you go get somebody right now. And it just like, for me, it's so very obvious. And so like, I guess like I'm.
But you say that, but also
you
at the
see why
same
it's
time
not,
too.
right?
I can understand why somebody would be like kind of conflicted, but then I would tell them, let's let's just think about it for like 30 seconds, and then you can be a smart individual and then say, yes, let's go get somebody to be alongside the first team, second team All NBA player who's
Calm down, dude. This roster
who's
sucks.
20 years old. He is
getting De'Aaron Fox isn't going to make it good. There is a question of when to do it. Obviously, eventually you get him a star.
He is 20.
Go ahead. Get your 20 years old.
He's 20 years old, and we are talking about him like he is the 8th best player in the world. He just had nearly 40 and 20 in Madison Square Garden on Christmas Day. He is the biggest superstar that you can see right now as clear. And if the Timberwolves can go and identify themselves with Anthony Edwards and be like, okay, yeah, we're going to go make a trade for Rudy Gobert. I'm not saying you have to go out and get the biggest star in the world, but you have to go get somebody. You have to make a trade to bring somebody in to help Victor right now.
Okay, you got to relax a little bit, though. It matters when you do it. This team is competent now and is good. I think people see that and they assume the roster around him is like making strides. They have these adults in the room, all this stuff. They're good. No, I think the roster still kind of sucks. Wemby is just amazing, so he's carrying them. The roster would still suck if you got De'Aaron Fox in exchange for Vassell, filler, and picks, whatever it would be. You still wouldn't be a good team. So you don't have to do that like right now. You don't got to rush into it. You can give it time. Maybe get one more draft pick because they might still not be in. Like they could very well be the 11th pick and end up being in the lottery still. 11th seed. You don't got to rush into it and be like, now's the time. You're gonna run. Like they have such a runway ahead of them. They can be a little patient. I think that makes it a little more complicated than you're giving it credit for. You have to handle it with care because the last thing you want to do is jump the gun too fast and go all in on a core that doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, and that's like the completely opposite of what the San Antonio Spurs are and have been known to be over the last 24, 25 years. They almost never jump the gun. They don't do anything too crazy. All the moves that they do make is in the NBA draft on a consistent basis. This is what we see. They move back, they move forward, whatever. We just saw it this past draft with Rob Dillingham. They selected him, didn't want him, traded back for a future pick. I think though what history tells me is that they'll probably remain patient, and traditionally this is what they do. Now they do have a very untraditional player on their roster, someone who breaks he defies what basketball is and what should be and what a player's limitations should be, especially at this size. So do I think they should make a move? Yeah, probably, but is it feasible right now? Do you need to rush into it? I don't know. I don't think so. I think what you really need to do is just identify more young guys, gather up more information when it comes to what does the perfect team alongside Victor Wembanyama look like, and can you maximize that with certain young guys that you have in Sohan? And I'm looking at Devin Vassell especially because you paid him a fat ass bag, and his usage rate has dropped tremendously, obviously because Chris Paul is there and he's aligning things a certain way. So I'm looking at someone like Devin Vassell mainly, and I'm just like, can you be a part of my future long term?
It's important that when you get those players that you can contend, that you have a supporting cast built out already of young players that can remain cost controlled. If you jump into it too fast, then you are where the Mavs are, where they have these two guys and a bunch of nothing. And it didn't work. Part of it was because of Porzingis. The star they picked didn't mesh well with Luka, but they also weren't in the best position for them to mesh well because they didn't have a young core around those guys. So it behooves you to remain patient if you're in a position where you can, and that makes sense.
If Victor is the guy that we all think that he is, you should start building out that core right now. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying trade every asset that you have for the next 10 years to go and get two superstars right now to do it. But a De'Aaron Fox type player, you should have his running mate and another guy. They should be able to play together for a year or two before we start making the run and enter into the quote unquote prime. I don't what I'm saying go make a move. I'm not saying go make a move so that you feel like you are the championship favorite next season, but you do need to be able to build chemistry between Victor and whoever his running mate is, and you should be able to go out and get that guy as soon as possible. And so if you think that I would rather go get a more proven piece than be patient and wait in the draft and see if I can draft his running mate for the next 2 years, because I believe in Castle. I believe Castle is going to be really good. If you have him and if you have Castle and you have Vic and you can go out and get a guy like De'Aaron Fox, for the sake of names, Trae Young, whatever, right? Like that type of a player. That is the way that you want, where you can start building your core and they have 2 years to play together, whatever. And now by the time Vic is 2 years older, his body's more fit out, he's learned some more, all that stuff. Oh, it's ready to go. We're gonna have this dynasty ready. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but you're not getting dynasty. You're not getting a dynasty unless you draft 4 or 5 really good role players that sustain that. And if you do that trade now and get a De'Aaron Fox tomorrow, let's say De'Aaron Fox requests a trade today, you get him tomorrow, your pick this year is not going to be a top 10 pick. The next year won't be top 10 pick. Like, you have to have a long-term view of how you sustain that, because you use the word dynasty. You want to build an ability to make it that with around when you got like Vic. Mm-hmm. You don't want to enter a window that's immediate where you have De'Aaron Fox, who's a good player, very good player. Could he be the second star in championship team with Vic? Maybe. Is he clear-cut good enough to be the second star? It's not a no-brainer. It could be with the right guy, but he's not like, you're not going out and getting Devin Booker. It's a little bit different. And if you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Wemby, you're sending Vassell out, then you just have Castle, Sohan, and a bunch of second-round picks. That's not a sustained excellence core. Like, it might, if you can get one more top 10 pick and then Fox, like, it makes sense to wait a little bit.
On paper, yes, I can see where you're coming from. But again, when you have the future GOAT of the sport on your team right now, like, there's just some things that you have to go do, and Vic is that. Like, it's so, like,
yeah.
Mo said,
you don't want to see him wasted anymore.
Yeah, like Mo said, he breaks every rule of what you think team building is, and he is the guy. Like,
I'm with you. I don't want to see him wasted either, and I get why it's exciting to be like, go out and get him as player, but from their position, you don't want to shoot your load too fast.
Wow, what an analogy.
Let's go to TikTok.
What word choice.
That's a very common phrase. Come on.
Let's go to TikTok time.
I agree with you. I'd rather
Spurs
save my assets and like keep all my assets in the back end. That way you have unlimited versatility and flexibility with your future. Do the natural mishaps that happen through an NBA player's career and team building's like timeline. So I'd rather just hold your horses, let Vector do his thing, figure out his game fully. Wait till he's like 23, 24, whatever. If guys don't bust at that point in time and they've just been like missing consistently, then at that point in time, sure, go ahead and make a trade for whatever player it is. But at this point in time, like, there's no need to rush and shoot your load. Save it.
Hey, man, don't shoot your load. That's the message of today's episode. Keep your load.
Exactly.
Man, if you have Wemby on your team, fire away.
He said, you got Wemby, bust.
You said unload that goddamn clip, let it out.
With that being said, that's every team in the NBA. We give every single person one question we're looking at for 2025. Yeah, man. On to TikTok time.
Tinkle time, Donovan. Go run to the bathroom. I know you want to.
No, don't stop. Don't make me expose these texts that you send before recording. Let's go to TikTok time.
Welcome back to TikTok time.
Woo!
Fireworks light the sky. Today, we're not going to start with the draft. We're taking a week off of those, so I'm not going to say those words like usual. What we're going to start with today is, let's talk about alter egos. I feel like the NBA has a lot of characters. Obviously, it's a star-driven league, and there's a lot of common versions of players that we talk about. And yeah, we'll call them alter egos. It's type of players when they have certain accessories, certain times of the year, etc. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you an NBA player's alternate ego, and you're going to rate it from 1 to 10, just based on how iconic it is.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Take me back into my childhood.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a little nostalgic with this. Yeah. We'll see. So first of all, you guys will see what I mean. First of all, masked LeBron.
Listen, this is 10 out of 10. This is 10 out of 10. Only because he wore this and got extra powers, right? He scored. He got a career high in the mask. Like, I just don't know how you can put this mask on, have the greatest game you've ever played scoring wise, and that not be a 10 out of 10. So shout out to Bron, man.
Of course it's a 10 out of 10. You have no idea how many souls, how many dreams and beliefs that this man crushed. He was evil back then. He was so evil back then.
He's a villain, Ron.
Yeah. It added to the mystique of LeBron James, his lore.
They were marketing him as a villain, and really, it's the black mask with the black jersey. That combination was just crazy. The aura was ridiculous.
Y'all don't understand. People used to only wear clear masks, and then LeBron came out, and they're like, "Yo, he got this carbon fiber mask," and I was like, "I want to break my face. Like, I want a mask like that. Like, that's crazy." Yo, y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. When carbon fiber hit the streets, everybody lost their mind. Nobody knew what to do in the NBA. This is a moment in history.
Yeah, that's a different type of aura right there. I want to break my face. That's crazy, bro. Different type of aura.
I would like reconstructive nose surgery, please.
Just banging my head against the door frame, just trying to be like
I want to be like Bron. We're going 10 out of 10. It's iconic.
Yeah.
Next up, untucked Kyrie.
You already know.
Back in 2016, 2017, as soon as he got serious, he pulled that jersey out and he went nuts.
You already know. It's 10 out of 10.
If that jersey is a little bit more baggier, bro, you already know the bag work is going to be insane, and you're in the grit and grind era with like last 3-4 minutes of a quarter, bro. And he's going to hit you with the nastiest combination moves.
Was the jersey untucked? Was the jersey untucked when he hit the shot?
Probably.
I think so. It might have been.
He drilled into Steph's eye in the biggest stage ever with the jersey untucked. That alone makes it 10.
Mind you, he's lucky he never played against Chris Paul, because CB would have pointed out this should be a technical foul. And this should not be
nerd.
I'm just saying you what's in the rules, right?
Ball monitor.
I'm just telling you, according to the NBA law.
Excuse me, sir. His jersey's untucked.
Paragraph 5, subsection C. You are not allowed to have untucked jerseys. But Kyrie, listen, if you are crossing anybody up like this, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. I won't call him.
Kyrie would have picked him up, put him over the trash can, stuff him in a locker.
Yeah.
Shut up, nerd.
I won't do it. I won't snitch.
Another 10 out of 10. That's easy. Game 6 Clay.
Man, nostalgia's really winning here. This is 10 out of 10.
Is this a 10 though? Because he had that one Game 6 where he got the nickname. You know, later on in his career, people were trying to force it. They were like, listen, they're forced to a Game 6. You know what Clay's going to do? And then he's like 2 for 12. But
he did it multiple times. He's had at least, because he had the original Game 6 against OKC. I think he had a Game 6 against Houston. I know he did it multiple times to get the nickname.
I know he did it at least twice, but I don't remember. I just remember in the later half, people kept trying to force it, and it never lived up to it.
Well, you know what happened? He went Game 6. Clay was going so stupid, tore his ACL against the Raptors. He was forcing that series into a game, or did he forcing? Yeah, he was forcing that into a Game 7, and he tore his ACL that game.
He died for that nickname, bro.
Yeah, he sacrificed his fucking prime because he wanted to go so stupid in a Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 10. I'm not gonna lie. He left it all on the line for Game 6, Clay.
Clay was hooping.
Yeah,
3 10s in a row.
We deserve it. He deserves it. You're showing us the best era of basketball, man. What do you say?
I almost doubted you, Clay. I'm sorry. I almost forgot the lore of Game 6 Clay. That's on me. I almost fucked up.
Look at him. Put his goatee on, sharpened it up. He's ready to go.
That's how I got the razor. Next up, Emo Jimmy.
Man,
this is like
munchers? A 5.
A 5?
Yeah, he didn't dress like this for a game. We didn't see him in an actual game like this at all. This was just for shits and giggles. This is just to mess up ESPN graphics and 2K graphics and shit like that. If he did this in a game, I'll be elite.
And nevertheless, I can't talk. And nevertheless, I've never forgotten about it. And I don't think I ever will. It's etched in my brain forever. To me, that's iconic. This is one of the best troll jobs I've seen.
Yeah, we have rarely seen people troll ESPN. Trolling them on the graphic picture. Yeah. See, that's just next level devious. And that really shows who Jimmy Butler is as a person. So
facts.
I'm giving it at least like an 8.
Really?
Yeah, I go 7 or 8. Listen, I respect commitment to the bit, and Jimmy Butler knows that better than most people.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if he was really committed to the bit, he would wear this for at least like 2-3 games to start out the season, bro.
He can't sweat out that hair.
He's not.
He can't sweat the hair out.
Yeah, he can. He can put it in a bun or something like that.
Nah.
Is this
so fresh Jimmy?
Is this white teenager cultural appropriation though?
Ooh.
What if he's just a fan?
Let's
What
have
if he's a
conversations.
true born Hot Topic kid?
Yeah.
This is him behind closed doors. All right, maybe it's who he was. Who knows? Who's to say?
This the real
Next
Jimmy.
up, it's the real me, mom. We got Olympic Mellow.
Come on.
Get it off.
Come on.
Get it
Come
off.
on. It's a 15.
Whip it out.
It's a 15.
15.
You know what it
It's
is.
only 1 through 10,
You know what it
man.
is.
What the hell?
Olympic Mellow. Olympic Mellow is one of the reasons that one, he set an Olympic record, was dominated in the Olympics in London.
Against who?
Huh? No.
Against who?
Listen.
Against who?
Stop. Don't make me. I left it out for a reason. I wasn't trying to say it like that. But them Nigerians had no idea what hit him. Melo was 3 to the dome all day. All right? Understand that. 2, Olympic Melo is the only reason why people thought that Carmelo could play off ball in the NBA. They were like, he's done it with other stars before. Let's bring him in.
As soon as you move that 3-point line up and those long middies become threes, unstoppable.
It's more than unstoppable, bro. Them buckets became bilingual. You could do it to anyone in any type of infrastructure, bro.
Multinational bucket game.
Exactly.
Listen, it's the best version of Melo. It's iconic. I guess it's another 10.
Yeah,
One of the best moments of his career, bro. Yeah.
It's either Olympic Melo or Hoodie Melo.
Yeah, I want to
Top
include,
two.
I can decide which one to include, but one Olympic. Okay. Next one. I really wish he would imagine if he was allowed to wear a hoodie during a game. That would have been next level.
The NBA would never allow that.
I know. David Stern for sure wouldn't.
Bro, his passing vision would be absolutely fried too.
Passing vision. Okay. Next one. Trade request Harden.
Relax.
Trade request Harden.
Man, this man was beefed up, carved up, eating all the
Carb
donuts.
loading?
I mean, it was a refeed day, bro. What do you mean?
Exactly. He was just a little
this
bloated.
man,
That's it.
anytime this guy wanted to move, he wanted to pack his shit in a U-Haul and leave a town. He put on the fat suit and he made that shit happen. He got what he wanted every time. This is nothing if not effective.
Yeah, in my mind, it looks like a blueprint. He sounds like a trailblazer to me. Jimmy
You'll
Butler,
get what you want every
you
time.
Know what
If
to
you
do.
if you go diva enough, you will get what you want.
Yeah, I have to give this the same way that we gave Jimmy Butler an 8, just off of pure commitment to the bit. He did this in multiple places. Every time he wanted to go, he's like, yeah, it's time to get big. Time to get
But you know what's
big.
funny though? He did it in multiple places, but he did it to Daryl Morey twice.
Oh, yeah.
Twice he was like, trade me now, bitch. Like, and he got what he wanted.
Overseas
hilarious.
too.
Yep. Trade request Harden is a different animal and the same beast.
Daryl Morey
That's
is
the
a liar.
perfect way to put it.
Next one. We got wheelchair Paul Pierce.
I relate to Paul Pierce in this moment, bro. Sometimes when you gotta go, you got to go.
You do
Yep.
be shitting.
Exactly. In the moment, this is actually a 10 out of 10 because he came out of the wheelchair, came out of the tunnel, knocked down 2 threes back to back, right? He was, apparently this was like a level up for him. He just needed a breather.
You just need to wipe that butt.
Exactly. Looking back on it, nah, this is like a 0 out of 10. His whole legacy, or not his whole, but a lot of Paul Pierce's legacy has been reduced to bowel movement. And for a player of his stature, you just can't have that.
Why? He's representing something that's so under talked about, not only in the NBA community, but just humans, bro. We have a
He's
new
putting on
epidemic
for
arising.
IBS.
Exactly.
This is representation, honestly.
Exactly. For people like me and Paul Pierce, I appreciate you.
I'm
Did you just
going.
come out as having IBS on stream?
I know. I'm going
Just
through.
kidding.
He wasn't kidding though. Next one. We got laughing Kawhi.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. I have to go 10 out of 10. I have to go 10. To this day, I still just randomly just be like, I'm a fun guy, you know? Like, it's,
Hey, you laughing like him? How you doing?
can I do it? Can I do it? There you go. I'll take that from Mo. I don't know if I can do it.
Let me hear it.
Sound like his spleen is hurting when he was laughing. Yeah.
Facts. Like you got the wind knocked out of him.
Shit. Yeah.
He's trying to stay chill. He's trying to lock in, but it's really the whole time his chest hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No, this is iconic. This kind of this kind of redid his image. This kind of changed the way people see him a little bit.
I mean, shit. Yeah, you're right. This started like we saw his personality the most in this. This right here started his personality, and like the market for him exploded because he won a championship and all. This is a new era, Kawhi. I think I'm gonna give this a 10.
Yeah, everything's a 10.
Sorry, man.
They have good alter egos. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with it. Next one. Bubble AD.
I'm sorry. This is also a 10.
Really?
It's rated 10s today.
The story, listen, the bedtime stories that my children would hear about Bubble Anthony Davis.
Different.
Do you understand the amount of middies that he was hitting? His jumper, they ran a play for Anthony Davis to get a catch and shoot 3 to win the game in the playoffs.
And it worked.
That's how stupid he was going. Anthony Davis in the bubble was special. And it's special because we've never seen it again. We've never seen Anthony Davis be that complete of a basketball player. And it was just gone in an instant.
Dude, we're gonna look back in like 20 years. Nikola Jokic is gonna be like a top 5 player of all time or something crazy. And AD is gonna be like, yeah, I saw him in the bubble, 1-on-1, no crowd, man v man. Whooped his ass, beat his ass, won a chip, did it in front of Mickey Mouse. It's gonna be iconic.
I don't like Bubble AD though because it almost feels like diminishing to him and that championship.
Hey, he won the bubble. Nobody else did. I think that's a 10.
He went to a level that he locked in like he's never locked in before. I think that's commendable.
Nobody else in NBA history has locked in the bubble like he locked it in the bubble, and nobody else ever will.
Exactly.
Unless the bubble comes back.
Yeah, until the bird flu comes for us. Until the next bubble.
Listen. Nah.
What were you gonna say?
Never mind.
He's like, oh, PR.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert's gonna find a way.
Yeah.
Next one. We got gang sign John Wall.
John Wall from the 919? That John Wall?
That's the one.
He hasn't made that many appearances.
You're like, what do I say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not trying to encourage it, but like it was kind of cool, but like don't be affiliated. I'm not sure.
He had me throwing up signs that I didn't know what the fuck meant, but it was kind of cool. I was throwing them in the mirror every day before school. You guys don't understand the aura that he had back then. I'm gonna give it a 5 though. I do not.
Bro, I was in middle school. I remember this happened. I remember seeing a white kid be outside and start to act like gang sign John Wall. He was like, "Big B's, bitch." And I was like, "What?" Middle school's crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 5. Not the greatest influence, but
So, I'm not a role model.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, that's the end of the alternate egos. Okay. I want to see what you'd say to that, and you shriveled up. Next thing we're gonna do a tier list of sorts. You know, we've done tier lists before of LeBron James's best teammates, of Steph Curry's best teammates. So we're gonna do a tier list right now of maybe someone who has the greatest teammates in NBA history. We're gonna put all of Kevin Durant's greatest teammates into a tier list.
And this is we're putting the tier list of like them when they were KD's teammate, right?
Yeah, as KD's teammates.
Okay.
You know, like how good are they? Not necessarily just how great the player is how great of a KD teammate are they?
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's different. Obviously, these guys are all amazing players. They all deserve high, but different types of resumes next to Kevin Durant. It varies a little bit. So, first off, let's start with the most iconic one, Russell Westbrook.
SS tier. SS tier.
SS tier? Is that what you said?
Yes, it's S tier.
Oh, I thought you said SS. Like you're making a new tier.
No.
But no, yeah, I mean, he's S tier. But then again, there's people on here who were superstars and won chips next to him. Does the fact that he didn't get a chip make him go A?
Come on.
It can only be S tier because of how iconic it is and how like explosive that duo was. I don't know if it could be S tier because he didn't win with him.
There's one superstar who won a chip with Kevin Durant. And so like, yes, he obviously gets S. The Russ and KD went to a finals together. They went to multiple conference finals together. KD won MVP. They were two of the top 5 players in the world at the same time. Like, as teammates, it's not their fault Andre Roberson couldn't shoot. You know, like they were doing their job.
Okay, I'm just opening the doors, asking the questions, but rest can be S tier. No, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I'm never gonna be one to put down Russell. We could put him S tier.
You've done
Steph
it
Curry.
multiple times.
Steph Curry, obviously S tier. Honestly, it's in the conversation for the greatest duo of all time. You look at across league history. MJ Pippen, Shaq Kobe, KD Steph.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Makes me think maybe we need to reserve S tier for Steph only because he is like that level of duo.
And here you are putting down Russell.
Whoa. I'm not putting down Russ.
I mean, you literally are. You're putting him down into a different tier.
I know Curry. Listen, Curry is a superstar and a champion next to him. Russ is just one. That sounds like a different tier to me. These are all great players. We have to have some separation.
Yeah, I just want to hate on Russ.
No, hell no, I'm not hating on Russ. I'm just like
they've been trying to break these two up since 2014, and Kevin Durant looked over in his MVP speech and said, "Don't think I forgot about you. Don't think."
And then 2 years later, he forgot about him. And he left.
He didn't forget about him.
He didn't
forget about him. First of all,
he didn't forget. You're right.
Exactly.
He didn't forget at all. He consciously knew I'm leaving this guy. It wasn't forgotten. It was a clear choice.
And he left him.
Was he leaving him, or was he leaving Kendrick Perkins?
Russell Westbrook, welcome to A tier. Curry, you're alone in that.
Y'all hate so much on the Brody.
We love Russell Westbrook.
I
want him on my team right now, actually, bro. I love him.
You don't love Brody.
James Harden. Team was to him twice. First time, 6-man. Second time, they were the best team in the NBA for 7 games that all 3 stars played together.
Yo, them 7 games are good enough to put them in B, bro.
I kind of want to go A, though, just because James Harden kind of died for Kevin Durant. Had his hamstring off the bone and still tried to play in a game 7 and still...
He ruined his prime.
Exactly. He sacrificed everything for Kevin Durant.
He did.
You kind of got to give him
honestly,
credit.
And they would have won a chip if they stayed healthy in 2021.
Yes. If one of them, because remember, Kyrie was already hurt. Even if it was just a healthy James Harden and a healthy Kevin Durant, they beat the Bucks. Like that's one of the few reasons why the Bucks were able to come back is because Kyrie got hurt and James got hurt.
Let's go.
Fuck it. Put that much into 2021. I'm cool with A.
A tier it is. Put him right next to James Harden. I mean, put him right next to Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where do you want to go with Devin Booker? The newest duo.
S is out the question. A is out the question. Might be B.
I think it's C. They haven't done shit together yet.
Yeah.
They got swept.
They got swept. And then what happened the year before that? They lost to the Nuggets, right?
Yeah, in the second round.
They lost the Nuggets in the second round. They played good. They lost. They got just mollywopped by the Timberwolves. Now it's inconsistent this year. That's a C tier to me. They haven't lived up to hype at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go C. That's fair.
Yeah, listen, we got to separate it. He's 2 tiers removed from the guys above him.
That's true.
Okay, where do you want to go? Let's stay on the note of the Suns. What about Chris Paul?
I mean, they
made it to the second round again. Yeah,
they didn't really play together like that.
But when they did, it was kind of cool. But we could put it in D because shit was accomplished.
Yeah, Chris Paul was honestly really bad that year. Everyone thought he was washed. He kind of sold him a little bit. They had to trade him right away. That looks like a D tier.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson won a chip together. Was instrumental in making the greatest team of all time, but he's not Steph Curry.
He is B though.
He put him below. Okay, so the guys that were part of that great team but aren't the superstars go right below the 3 guys that were like the stars.
Yeah. Klay was so instrumental for obvious reasons. The greatest shooter of all time, had some of the best moments of his career with KD on the court.
Do you just call Klay the greatest shooter of all time?
No, one of the greatest. He's not the greatest. One of the greatest. He deserves to be in B.
But put that shit on record. Make that clear.
You trust me. I trust and believe he is one of, not the greatest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with B. Just because like it's clearly Steph, KD, 1 and 2 that are driving that bus, and then Klay Thompson is right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you want to go with Serge Ibaka?
Serge Ibaka.
Longtime teammate. Whoa. Longtime teammate. Integral part of a team that had a run. He isn't Russell Westbrook, but he's not that far behind.
Not that far behind.
In terms of importance to that team?
He's not. Serge Ibaka was hooping for years.
Yeah. As a KD teammate and what they meant to the run that KD had in that era, he
covered a lot of his deficiencies defensively. Serge Ibaka's versatility back then, kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Man.
Great fit for Kevin Durant. Like, that matters on this list. Not just talent, it's how good you are as a KD teammate.
Yeah.
And he was a good fit.
Are we going
I
A?
think I might.
Serge Ibaka? B?
There's an argument for A, but I feel more comfortable in B because his shooting didn't come around.
But can we
until,
say
like,
B
KD
though?
left.
If that all applies to Clay too, but they want chips together. So
He can't be
does that make
C. He can't be C.
he can be.
We can't do that though. We can't do that.
Okay.
No, he can't be C. He was with him for too long and made his life so much easier on the defensive end. KD was not playing defense actively because he had two big dudes back there.
I guess we have to go B. We have to go B.
Yeah.
Right next to guys you want chips with? Okay.
Yes. Serge Ibaka was that important.
I feel like for these lists, the chips matter.
Don't let them
I
disrespect
think that
Serge.
if you gave KD, Serge Ibaka, and Russell Westbrook, Klay Thompson, I think they would have won chips too.
Okay. If you gave him. Okay, I had to compute that. I was like, what does that mean for this? Okay. Draymond Green.
Got to put him in
All
C.
right. This is wait, really? He won chips with him, but he also called him a bitch.
He's the reason.
and drove him
Exactly.
But was that motivation?
Motivation
You
to
decide.
leave town and go to Brooklyn, yeah.
They could have won
Motivation to
titles
go to New York.
forever. And Draymond's like, nah, you're not like that. They'll never love you like Steph. Get out of here. Scram.
All Draymond
Skedaddle.
had to do was be nice. All he had to do was be nice, and they could have been the greatest team to ever touch a basketball court for a decade.
Not even nice.
But they
Cordial.
were for a couple of years.
That's not a
It
decade.
could have been a couple more.
But they got it done though multiple times.
And then he got it done by making the run end because he kicked him out of town.
Nah, but we're still going to see. He kicked him out.
Listen, Clay and Draymond both on chips for him. Clay was nice to him. Draymond was not. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
They mended their beef though. We're all grown men here. Ain't no need to carry on baggage.
Not me. I'm going to hold a grudge for him. Bradley Beal.
Got to put Bradley Beal on D tier.
He's in like D or F, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's a better KD teammate than Chris Paul was.
They
haven't
made it to
done
the second
anything.
round at least.
They haven't done anything.
Yeah, they've
I
done
mean-
literally nothing.
He didn't do shit with Chris Paul either. I mean,
They got
won
swept
a
Second
playoff
round.
series.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I mean, Chris Paul was asked though. There's a reason he
I mean,
didn't get
Paul,
traded right away.
yeah,
They
he
got
was still
swept.
passing the ball. Yeah, Bradley Beal does
Chris
nothing
Paul's
on.
fall off is like kind of why they lost.
At
Bradley
least
Beal
they got
isn't the reason they
one.
lost.
At least they
Yeah,
got
exactly.
one.
They saw
Lifts
some
him up.
type of progress. Bradley Beal doesn't do anything on the court to me that makes KD's life like tremendously easier.
Sure, which is why we're not talking about A tier or anything crazy.
Do you think
Probably
C
should be
tier for
talking
Bradley
about-
Beal?
No. I was just thinking maybe
D?
Chris Paul has to be F if Bradley Beal's D.
Nah, they're okay. They'll live in the same
Okay,
class.
they could
Yeah.
be same tier. Kyrie Irving.
F tier.
What?
F tier? What
No,
the hell?
no. Get out of here.
F2.
Get out of here. Now,
He
I
broke
can
him up.
understand,
They barely played together.
but when they did play
Keep in mind,
together,
Kyrie kind of convinced him. Would Kevin Durant have left the Warriors if not for Kyrie bringing him into his orbit?
Kyrie was over there during the pregame of the All-Star game, having conversations, psyching him out, doing all-time manipulation to take him over there to Brooklyn, bro, and make him
And-
feel
and-
loved,
and
make
then
him
what?
feel appreciated.
And then Brooklyn was like the worst thing that ever happened to Kevin Durant. So what is that a good thing?
But could you? But they're best friends hooping together, bro. It's a beautiful story.
He said, "Bro, come here and play with me." And then they didn't play together. I'm going F. There was,
not going F. Sorry.
there was too.
I think-
there's too much drama that happened in that era to where you can put Kyrie on the same level as Chris Paul or Bradley Beal.
Come on, Chris Paul or Bradley Beal? That's not exactly a high bar to clear.
How quickly they forget. No,
I think
Forget what?
that is
Kyrie
one
Irving's
of the
destructiveness?
worst eras of Nets basketball. What are we talking about?
If you ask a Nets fan, I bet they probably think Kyrie and KD is like the worst duo of all time. They probably hate the fact that happened to them.
It is one of the most theoretical duos we've ever seen. They have such limited on-court performance together.
They do.
You know, maybe
Theoretically,
we should
those
put-
guys are nice.
Yeah, exactly. I want to get psyched out enough to put him in like C, just because I'm like, man,
What?
where do they belong to you, D?
There's sometimes where like we sit down and we record and I don't like y'all. Cause y'all make me feel like I was in a different universe. Like we all weren't watching the Nets implode on a daily basis because of what Kyrie and Kevin Durant were going
you make
to.
me feel like I'm in a different universe.
What are we talking about?
Fine, you got it. We can go F.
F is
just so
not
you don't
right,
have
man.
just so you don't have an existential crisis about the universe you inhabit.
F is not right, man. But whatever.
Where do we go with Kendrick Perkins?
He can stay there at the bottom.
You're not even making a tier list?
He's okay there. He's fine.
He be on
Off
ESPN
the
defending
screen.
KD's legacy. What you mean?
And then goes on Twitter and be like, yeah, KD needs to shut up. Like
He'd be on ESPN talking all slow. Nah, we can keep him off the screen.
he's just country. like he's just country from Texas. So it's like, man.
Yeah, he can't get no playing time. No, he can't even get no screen time. That's fucking crazy.
I know he gets screen time. He gets a lot of screen time.
But is this
Hey,
it?
man.
We ended the video like this?
Kevin Durant is one of the greatest basketball players to ever play. Like that's like Kendrick Perkins. He's just from Beaumont, Texas. That's it. But nah, he's good there. He's all right.
Unranked.
Yeah,
That's
he's
The
fine.
hell?
He's fine.
Am I the lone Kendrick Perkins fan? What the fuck, man?
Katie doesn't like
Yes.
him.
The answer to the question is yes, yes, you are. What the hell?
What did he average in that playoff series? A whopping 2.4 points.
I remember that beef. You right, damn.
All right, so we got Steph Curry in S tier. A tier, we got Russell Westbrook and James Harden. B tier, Klay Thompson and Serge Ibaka. C tier, Devin Booker and Draymond Green. D tier, Chris Paul and Bradley Beal. And F tier, Kyrie.
Man, what about Kendrick Perkins? He's there on the
Shut
screen
up.
looking at you, looking at me.
And that's our tier list, y'all. That's hilarious. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to play a new game. Something I saw somebody do on TikTok, but we're going to do it a little differently. It's kind of like a blind ranking. We're going to do keep 4, cut 4. So we're going to do this. I have 8 players for you. You're going to blind rank them 1 through 8. But the top 4 are people you keep. The bottom 4 are people you cut. So you could the order matters a little bit, but it's mostly like 2 groups. Which group do you want to put each player in?
Okay.
All right, bet.
So you can loosely do a little blind ranking, like 1 through 4, 5 through 8, whatever, but that's not super important. It's just who gets cut, who gets kept.
Okay.
So first name, Paul George.
Oh, shit.
Ooh. Okay, wait, real quick.
What's
question.
the context of this?
Yeah, is it just like players in general or like small forwards or like
Keep 4, cut 4. Paul George.
We need a prompt, though. We need a prompt.
You don't though. You just gotta
I do.
feel it out.
Okay, I need.
All right.
You know what?
Let's
We'll put
cut
Paul
him.
George
Let's
at
cut
5.
him.
At 5?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Paul George, your first cut.
Yeah.
I think I want to cut him. Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Paul George is like just below the all-time greats, so maybe you're hedging your bets a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Larry Bird.
Keeping.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll keep him and we'll put him at 2.
Okay. Yeah. There's no world where you're cutting Larry Bird, so
Yeah.
you can put him as high as you want. He's safe.
Keep him no matter what the conversation is.
Okay. Chris Middleton.
Might be cutting him.
Yeah.
If we cut Paul George, we have to cut
Exactly.
PG. In what world am I keeping Chris Middleton? I love him, but goddamn.
Where do you want to put him?
7.
Mm.
Put a space in between Paul George. It's like Paul George space, Chris Middleton.
It gives us some flexibility. Spread the players out as you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Tracy McGrady.
4.
Ooh.
We'll put him right
This is
above.
hard.
We'll put him right above Paul George.
I feel like T-Mac versus Paul George is like a debate.
That's a debate. Yeah, this is a real conversation.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like we could
you already cut Paul George.
Yeah,
so,
like
I
we
mean,
could.
no going back.
Yeah, we could have them interchangeable, but we've already made that decision. And T-Mac has more aura, so I'm putting T-Mac at 4.
And Team just slip that in there.
Yeah, so
And
like
T-Mac is
I'm putting him there, and I'm putting Paul George right there.
Okay. Listen, T-Mac simply cooler. It is what it is. Ball game. Next
That is
one.
true.
Jason Tatum.
Keeping him.
You only have 2 spots in the keep left. You got to be careful with these.
Yeah,
So,
but I feel comfortable
yeah,
with
it's
keeping Tatum. He won an
yeah.
NBA championship. Consistently in MVP convos. Needless to say, will he win? I don't know, but he's an elite player.
Yeah. So we will keep him. He will be under Larry Bird. We'll put him at 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tatum is like the finalized idea of Paul George.
Mikal Bridges.
8.
Bottom.
8. Yeah.
Get him outta here.
We have to cut Mikal.
Okay, one spot left and keep in cut. Scottie Pippen.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't know this because is he gonna put like LeBron or Kevin Durant on this list? How do you feel? Do you feel
Would you
like
feel worse if you cut Scottie Pippen or if you cut somebody better than him?
I think I would feel worse if I cut somebody better than him.
Yeah. Ah, man.
Either way, you fucked up.
Let's go ahead and cut him.
We're cutting Scotty.
I'm
Cutting
banking
Scottie
in that.
Pippen?
Yeah. I'm banking.
These Gen Z fans don't know nothing about it. Know nothing about Scottie Pippen in his prime.
I feel like you'll have someone better.
And last but not least, we have Kawhi Leonard.
There we go.
Okay.
It's just kind of a debate a little bit, but I'm taking Kawhi at the end of the day.
Yeah, you don't feel terrible about losing Pippen for Kawhi. You should feel terrible about getting T-Mac over Pippen, but you live and you learn.
Yeah. Not the end of the world. With what we walked into, this is not bad.
Okay. Yeah, we'll live.
Yeah, you guys did very okay. That's the word to say.
Yeah.
This is fine. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great.
First go at this, not bad. I like where we're at.
We didn't embarrass anybody, and that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. If the worst person you disrespected is Scottie Pippen, you'll live.
Oh, I'll do that again and again.
he's had enough of that in his life. So go ahead, get on some slack.
That's such
Next thing we're gonna do, there's been a lot of discourse on the internet, specifically on Twitter, about the NBA and its TV ratings and how the sky is goddamn falling. The NBA is a dying product. What's going on with the league?
Meanwhile,
most of it's bullshit. We talked about it a little bit on stream. We don't care. The NBA is fine.
TD3 Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern. Tap in.
But nevertheless, we're going to get some engagement out of it. We're going to get some TikTok views out of it. We're going to ride the wave of the negativity bias. What we're going to do is, let's do a little segment. I want to know, if you were in charge of the NBA for one day, and you can make any change you want, what changes would you make to try and save the league? To fix the biggest issues they have?
I got you.
We go one by one. Donovan, what's the first change you make?
Obviously, the biggest thing is every game that is played, somebody has to wear a white jersey. I'm tired
That's
of
your number
color.
one issue?
I'm tired of color on color. It's too much. If somebody's at home, you wear white. Have some decorum, please. I need to know.
Not my fault you got
who's
bad
on-
eyes. What you mean?
No, I need to know because the NBA is too bright. That's why I have bad eyes. Right?
NBA is too bright.
I'm gonna
You're
get a
so
cataract.
old.
I can't do it. I need to know who is at home, who's on the road. I can't even tell by the court anymore because all the courts are different colors. Let me know who's playing the game, and then we can proceed from there. I need white.
old fuck.
I need white jerseys and brown courts. I'm sick of these gray courts. I'm sick of these red courts that hurt my eyes. It's too much. I'm going white
This
jerseys.
ain't looking too good for your PR on calm down here.
No,
Fucking unk.
that's the first thing I'm doing.
He goes to the unctions and he yells about white jerseys.
Man, that's our number one topic at the unction.
Out of everything you see with the product, you talk about
talk
these
about it all the
damn
time.
jerseys. Oh my god, that's hilarious, bro. I think
If I could
was
make
a-
one change.
Yeah.
You go first. Go ahead.
if I could make one change, I'm just starting the season a little bit later, towards the end of the NFL season. I'll probably start off the NBA season right around Christmas time. We all know LeBron said it himself, bro. Around Christmas is the NBA's day, and it will be elite if the season started around then. That way, we always have something happening throughout the calendar of just human interest in sports.
I'll piggyback off that. I would start it later. I would cut the games in half. I would do a 41 game season.
Wow.
Yep.
Ooh.
The biggest thing the NBA has going for the biggest thing the NFL has going for them, scarcity. Every game matters.
Mhm.
The NBA would never do this because they're not going to cut their revenue in half. But if you did half the games, every single one would be intense. Fans would care. It would be more spaced out. People would have the ability to allocate time to it. You'd start later. It would be a much better product, I think.
Okay.
People always talk about go down to 60 games. Fuck that. Go down to 41. Let's go all the way.
Okay. You play every team once? Oh, that's
Every team once.
That's interesting.
Shit
That's crazy.
matters. Every game
That's
is do or
sick.
die.
Oh, actually,
That's sick.
No, that's more than once. I'm stupid, but it's all good. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. But there's no room for low management, no room for taking a game off. You gotta care every single night.
I like that.
Okay.
What's my next? Oh, if you are able to offer somebody a supermax contract, you can offer them the supermax at like 35%. It would only count to 25% of your cap.
That's smart. That's what they should do.
That way, it incentivizes teams to build from the draft. You get homegrown stars, and you can keep teams together and not force these billionaires, which they shouldn't be anyways, to be broke boys. And now we can keep teams together. We can see.
You pulled the hammer and sickle out for a second.
Yeah. Exactly. and now we can keep.
Get them, comrade.
We can get teams together, keep that camaraderie, see rivalries, all that. That's what we should do with the Supermax.
You're forcing NBA teams to be a lot smarter too with the NBA draft. They just don't have the easy bailout button and just spend recklessly anymore. Exactly. I like that thought.
But at the end of the day, spend that bread. You have it for a reason.
Yeah, that's a good one. Agree. That's too smart though for my liking. If I was commissioner for a fucking day, I would make all alley-oops, instead of count as 2-pointers, 3-pointers. Alley-oops.
Just alley-oops?
Just alley-oops. Not regular dunks. Not like fucking. I need lobs in there because it's easily one of the most fun plays in the entire.
So you
NBA.
want DeAndre Jordan to lead the league in scoring? You want DeAndre Jordan to be MVP?
Teams would spam the fuck out of that, bro. I need that back.
Vic would be the greatest player of all time. He'd break Kareem's record in 10 years.
Yo,
he shoots threes and gets 3-point dunks. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yo, the most random NBA players will regain like so much value.
Hey, Christian Coloco.
Yo,
max contracts.
Kenneth Faried is getting back in the NBA, bro. Yeah. You don't have to be overseas anymore. Come back, buddy.
We got about 3 more years of DeAndre Jordan's prime left.
If you play with Trae Young, Clint Capella, he's eating.
Trae Young's probably MVP, actually.
Bro, Clint Capella's averaging 27 a game in this universe.
It's crazy. You know what I'm going to do? I already cut games in half. I already made shit matter. I would allow you to loan players like in soccer. So not only can you trade your players and tank for picks, if you're the Suns, Kevin Durant tears his ACL, now you got Devin Booker for a year. We loan him over to the Lakers. They give us 2 first-round picks. They get him for just this season. So we can kind of do like mini rebuilds within a year.
Okay. Nah, that's sick. And then KD just comes back after winning an NBA championship or whatever.
Yeah, Booker goes to the Lakers, wins a chip, comes back, gets back with KD. We get assets. The Lakers get a chance to buy in for 1 year. Everybody wins.
Except for Suns fans, because Booker will come back, not win the chip, and they'll be like, man, wait, you got one somewhere else. You can't do it for us. Everybody would just be upset.
It'd be, the TV ratings would be through the roof. We'd have nonstop trade talks. It would be amazing. As a podcaster, I need it. I need the content.
Nah, that's hilarious.
All right. Last 2 minutes of the game. You get 1 timeout. In the last 2 minutes of the game. Every time we get to the last 2 minutes of the game, we have a play happen, timeout. Play happen, timeout. In FIBA, right, when we get to the Olympics, the end of games are so electric because it's just nonstop action, back and forth. There's so much drama of like, can you instantly make something happen? I want the game to move faster. I don't want the last 35 seconds to take 10 minutes to finish. I want it to go quickly. I want to see what the players can do. Let's drop it down to 1 timeout in the last 2 minutes.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, that'll help the flow of the game.
Yeah, kind of like how halftime some of them go away if you don't use them. It happens again at the 2 minute line. That makes sense.
All right, I got my next one. Instead of doing jump balls and having 2 players compete with just like pure verticality and whatnot, let's use our fists. Let's see who are the 2 best fighters on the goddamn team. Throw a couple punches. 1 minute of just straight hands, kickboxing, or whatever it is, bro. We already 1 minute. 1 minute, 45 seconds, whatever's the healthiest number to put out there. Straight hands.
You ever seen those slap boxing things where the big white dudes stand there and get slapped? They take turns slapping each other.
Yeah,
it's like competitive. We gotta do that. We have to have Anthony Davis sit there.
No players. Coaches.
Fans?
Coaches? That would change the entire coaching landscape. Greg Popovich is not being a coach anymore, bro.
I need Joe Mazzulla to backhand Nick Nurse for a jump ball in the Eastern Conference Finals. And oh my goodness.
Dude, I know Joe Mazzulla's psycho ass has the best slapping technique in the world. I know he is mathematically.
He knows Krav Maga. He knows all of that. He knows the exact knuckle to hit your cheek with.
He would get
sure
metal
of it.
plates surgically put into his hands
Yes.
in the offseason.
I'm
He
sure.
can't
that
even close his
insane.
hand. He can't even close his hand anymore, but he can win a slap every time.
I'm sure.
He's that insane.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Next
many
one. Let's
what
go
you
back to. I would redo the NBA Cup. Fuck the money as the winning team gets. The winning team gets a 15th pick in the NBA draft and an extra win to their schedule to help them get tiebreakers in the playoffs.
I like that. I like the extra win. I like
we're not
the
going
extra
crazy with the pick. It's not the number one pick, nothing crazy. Right after the lottery, you get a nice middle round pick.
See, me, I would take it even further than that. If they're able to make the playoffs, they immediately get home court advantage.
That's okay. I was thinking about that. It's a little bit much. I didn't want to make it so like they can just fuck off and not care for the rest of the season. But just one extra win, that'll be the difference.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why. See, I like that idea. What you have to do is you have to create tiers, right? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Everybody gets different advantages, and wherever you finish, if you win the in-season tournament, you go to the top of your tier. So like the good teams get even better. The bad teams they don't get so high up. They only get to be better than the other bad teams. So, but I like that. My next one. Once again, we're talking about housekeeping. Adam Silver. If you do not start being punctual, I'm gonna start getting upset. I need NBA games to tip off. If they say the game starts at 8, I need the ball in the air at 8 and 1 second. We need to start on time. No more of this. Game starts at 8. We don't get tip off till 8:12. No more 7:30 starts. Game doesn't start till 7:42. Listen, you want to build the future? Kids have to go to bed. Start games on time, Adam. All right?
You want to go to bed. Stop using the kids as an excuse.
Everybody wants to go to bed at 10:30, but I can't do it because the game starts so late. All right?
Ultimately, everyone wants to
on
bed.
time. Start the game on time.
Okay, I like that. I got one more for you guys. Let's put a little bit of power onto fans' hands, okay? They already let us vote all-stars. You know what they should do instead? Or also? Every offseason, let every fan vote one player off of their favorite team. All 30 fans get the ability to be like, I don't want that guy on my team, regardless of like money or whatever it is. Get one guy out of here. Yes, and throw him into the pool of free agency. Exactly. Put the power in the fans for real.
You just want to vote Clint Capella off the Hawks immediately.
Don't read my mind. You read my mind.
Okay. Let's go back to jerseys real quick. City jerseys, minimum 3 years. No, every single year. We need to give them time to build history, define an era. 3 year refreshes on city jerseys.
I like that. I like that. I would extend it to 5 years.
That sounds painful. Some teams are trash though.
Yeah, there's some bad. 52-80 for 5 years. Kill me.
You don't have the Boston Celtics rhythm jerseys?
Ooh. I'm sorry. Now it's time to lock in. Right? Lock in, do your job well, and then you can be celebrated for the next 5 years.
Facts. One more. I didn't make this one up. I actually saw this on Twitter from another podcast. I forget what it was. I wish I could shout them out. I forget who said it. But for the All-Star game, they said players don't win a cash prize. They have to like bet and give the losing team has to give the winning team money. So the West starters have to give the East starters $50K each.
Oh, no,
so it's like they're betting.
We can't do that. We can't do that.
No, we can do that. That's how you bring real competitiveness, bro.
No. I don't listen. We're gonna have too much FanDuel and Prize Picks involvement in that. I can't have that. Somebody's getting beat up on site.
Dude, ESPN has ESPN Bet. The NBA loves betting money. They're all in.
It's cooked.
Let's get the players throwing it down in the middle of the court. They throw a lot of cash.
Guess what? Listen, I'm not saying that I would do it because I am not this type of individual. But I know that there are certain people. Oh, you guys there's $50,000 here, $50,000 there. Bring my shiesty in. Bring my shiesty in. Where's the All-Star game at?
Shout out to the podcast. I thought about this idea because I just know for a fact that James Harden can get out there and go for 60. He's not going to want to lose that Atlantic City money.
And somebody will be plotting. I promise you.
I ain't gonna lie. There's gonna be several DMPs going on in that game too. Whoever ends up being the coach, bro, LeBron, Steph, Giannis, they don't play about that. They don't play about their coins.
I don't even want parts. I want to stay home. And that's everything I got.
No, that's hilarious.
Listen, put us in charge, man. We'll fix this league.
Thanks.
Y'all talking about ratings
Overnight.
this or rating that? Yeah, we'll get the league right back where they need to be.
We'll overtake
in
the
bed
NFL.
with illicit businesses.
Exactly.
All right, man.
Like every
The
good
next
league
thing we're gonna
does.
do. Yeah, facts. We're gonna get the mob back in this bitch.
Oh, y'all not ready.
Y'all don't understand. We're restoring the power dynamic back into the Italians' hands. Next thing we're gonna do. Don't make me get the. Next thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you 2 NBA All-Star teams, and you're gonna tell me which year would win
All
to play each other.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
These are interesting. These are only the All-Star starters from each year. These are more interesting than you think. There's some years where there's some unexpected players.
Okay.
Okay, first up, we got the 2022 Western Conference versus the 2006 Western Conference.
See, I mean, listen,
Ooh, man.
we got Andrew Wiggins in the starting lineup in the All-Star game. I can't do that.
You're
He's the
picking
best
against
defender
K-pop?
there, though. He's the best defender there.
What? LeBron is
Andrew
right
Wiggins-
there. Tim Duncan is right there.
That's
2022
LeBron.
LeBron James. Andrew Wiggins, he hung his hat on that end. They
Tim
won a
Duncan is
championship
right
because
there.
of that defense.
Listen, man. One side has the power of K-pop Twitter on their side. The other doesn't. Choose
Yeah.
wisely.
First of all, it's an All-Star game. Jokic doesn't care as is. He's playing 5 minutes.
Facts.
So
Okay, let's assume everybody cares. In this world, it's a real teams.
And when everybody cares, the West's front court is absolutely frying the oh shit, this is both the West. LeBron and Jokic are fucking frying Tim Duncan and Ming. Sorry.
Hey, Yao Ming's gonna be in hell a little bit trying to guard a Curry, LeBron, Jokic
Yeah.
pick and roll.
I'm sure Wiggins can stand somewhat of a chance against McGrady. The Curry Kobe,
we are not picking the lineup with Andrew Wiggins as an All-Star. That's not
he is playing defense.
We've
You need
talked
someone who
too
gets
much.
no shots.
We've
Andrew
talked
Wiggins is
too
not getting no
much.
shots.
We've talked too much. Andrew Wiggins is an All-Star. What are we doing? It's
All right, 2006 gets it. Since Donovan's gonna blow a gasket.
No
I don't want to give you a
way.
stroke. I don't want to give you a stroke.
Tracy McGrady. Well, I'm not.
We gotta take her Unc's blood pressure.
What is Steve Nash going to do with John Moran? Can't do shit against that.
What is John Moran gonna do with Steve Nash? What are you talking about?
Man, you gonna look him right in his eyes. What you mean?
He can't hold him.
He can jump over.
Okay, next one.
He can't hold him.
1996 West versus 2017 West.
Oh, that 2017
Oh my bad.
West is kind
1990 my bad. 1996 East versus 2017 West.
That West is looking
Okay.
crazy.
The West is
Ooh.
insane. The Golden State Warriors duo plus Harden plus AD as a lob threat. And you casually throw in Kawhi as the best perimeter defender you've ever seen.
And at the
I don't know.
and Anthony Davis back when he had all his agility and ability. Ooh, that's nasty. And his jump shots too.
This guy thinks he's Walt Frazier.
But
Agility and ability. Switching and dishing.
Jordan and Pippen.
That's what
But
they're
Jordan and
doing.
Pippen with Shaq is kind of crazy.
I understand, but Kawhi's locking down Pippen. Penny can't run with Steph. Steph is doing no look threes from half court.
There's just nothing they
How
can
does,
Michael
Penny,
Jordan?
how does Penny Hardaway react to that? Does he get
He
right?
says, Michael Jordan, go get him.
Yeah, I got the
I'm
17
sorry, Mike.
West.
Don't get embarrassed at half court now. Don't put too much dip on your chip. You better send Scotty. I saw what
yeah, Harden
Iverson did
too.
to you. I saw what AI did. You don't want that.
Only one who has a crossover that's taking as many ankles as Allen Iverson is James Harden, and he's right there.
You don't want these
Yeah.
problems.
James Harden has a lot of bones in his pockets.
You think you do. You do not. It's not sweet over here, Mike. It's not sweet. You guys can get you.
These young guys can dribble.
Yo, that man gonna have a migraine trying to keep up with all these crossovers and movement.
Oh, facts. You're rubbing that bald head.
You gonna see veins that he
Steam
didn't know
coming
have
off.
out just pop up like
Oh,
Nah,
he's
you see the steam coming off his head like it's cold outside.
These are the real monsters, Mike. This is not Space Jam. I'm
Real
going
deal.
with 2017 West.
Bro, 2017
2017
AD with Kawhi. Please give me the West. 17.
Yeah, give me
easy.
the West. Where am I? 2017 East versus 2021 East.
Is that the year Bradley Beal averaged like 30 a game?
Yeah, he was a bucket.
Still means nothing to me.
No, I have to though. The
DeRozan.
2017 is small. They got Giannis at center. We have Giannis at the 4. I like that.
And Embiid, KD, Giannis, Embiid is crazy size.
Yeah,
Yes,
KD,
I would
Giannis,
take
and Embiid might do it for me. I love Jimmy Butler and DeRozan, but there's just so much that.
Also, this is because it's really like a 4-on-4. Because you would just have like Kyrie versus Kyrie off in the corner. They all they do is just like dribble against each other. It'd be like shadow boxing. Like, where you going? I don't know. Like
2017 Kyrie and 2021 Kyrie are very different people. They be in the corner having debates. It'd be crazy.
No, that is true.
Debates and crossovers.
And it would be debates you don't want to hear at all. It would be horrible.
So again, 4-on-4 basketball here.
We're going with the one with 3 MVPs in the East and 21. We're going with them.
Yeah, I'm going 21 East.
Okay.
Last up, we got the 2001 West versus the 2012 East.
Yo, you got Chris Webber at small forward. Get out of here, man.
This is what happened.
So listen, y'all wonder why we shoot too many threes today? Because Chris Webber was out here taking 17-footers as a 3-man in the All-Star game.
Next to Shaq and Tim Duncan and Jason Kidd.
Everybody can reach out and form a circle and just play ring around the room. There's no spacing.
That's a crazy zone defense on that side.
Hey, that's schematics right there. You ask me. You're giving an argument for 01 West.
That's what they said. But listen, people said they should have formed a circle around Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And just let Steph shoot.
The 2012 team is fucking filthy. That's the most dunking power 1, 2, 3, and 5 I've ever seen.
This team won a gold medal.
And then you had MVP Derrick Rose.
Yeah. Give me the East in a heartbeat.
I'll take the East. Easy.
But then again, you got prime Shaq versus Dwight.
Oh, he would be motivated.
Ooh.
He'd be pissed.
We are getting 60 from Shaq.
We are. And you got Melo. Who's gonna guard? I guess LeBron will guard Tim Duncan. Yeah, Melo can bang around Chris Webber. That'd be fine.
Yeah, they could go piss.
Just 2 Rams. Just hit each other. Just 2 linemen. More the pass blocking.
Just bumping shoulders at the back. They're grinding on each other. It looks like step up.
No, that's real basketball. Okay.
So when the guy's banging you. Nah, I'm still going 2012 East.
Yeah, 2012 smokes.
Mind you,
Okay.
2012 East, a lot of, because LeBron, or at least LeBron, I know, he would be wearing those 2012 Hyper Dunks. Iconic shoe. I'm going with those.
Okay. The man's bumping you.
Who said that? Was it Shaq or Charles?
It was Charles.
Okay.
Okay, we got one more thing we're going to do. Let's play a game of 20 questions.
Okay.
So, but actually, no, let's do 10 questions. I forgot we do that now because 20 questions is too easy. Y'all always get it.
Okay.
So we're going to do 10 questions. I got the player in mind. You guys know how it works. I'm going to think of an NBA player. They have 10 questions to try to figure out who it is. If they don't get it within 10 questions, they fail.
Before we start, is this current day?
I'm not going to tell you anything.
The fuck, man?
All right,
You want me to waste one of my questions?
Question 1. Is this a current player?
This is not a current player.
Okay.
Fuck, we got to think way back then. Okay. Question 2.
Yeah.
Was this player an all-star?
He was not.
Fuck.
Question 3. Has this player won
Don't fail now.
Has this player won a championship?
He has not.
Okay, not an all-star, not a championship. You have no motion. Okay.
7 questions left. Don't fail for the first time.
No. We trust and believe we're not gonna fail. We're gonna clutch this out. Okay.
No all-star, no championships.
And you're an old player.
No motion.
Okay. He must have some type of motion off the court, Donovan.
I guess so.
Oh.
I guess so. Ask away. We need to figure out the era.
Yeah, exactly. Where you want to cross out first? Because it could be newly out of the league.
Yeah, so let's try to figure out maybe this decade, or I mean this century, like 2000 and above.
Okay, very broad.
Yes. All right.
So what are you asking?
Did this player? Wait, actually, what are we asking?
You're just yapping. Ask a question.
How do we narrow it down?
Did this player play in the 2010s?
He did.
All right, Donovan. There we go. That's a better question. All right.
So 2010 role player who did not win a chip.
And he did not go to an All-Star game. Not a single All-Star game?
Not a one.
And he didn't win a championship. So how was he like relevant to our minds?
Why is Isaac asking about him? He played it in the 2010s. He's not a current.
It's either he's like a meme or
all right, let's try to get position.
Yes, let's do that.
Is this player or was this player a backcourt player?
Yes.
Okay, so he was a guard.
Point guard, shooting guard.
I always had to think every single time I got to think backcourt guard, frontcourt big. Yeah. I had to like think about it in my head for a second.
Yeah. Okay. So he's a guard who never won a championship, never was an all-star, and played in the 2010s. Okay. Now, Donovan, do we want to do the East and West thing?
How many questions are you at?
Yes.
I think we're at 5 or 4 or 5.
We asked current all-star championship played in the 2010s.
In position. So you have 5 questions. 5 questions left.
Yeah.
So this next question is 6. Yes.
You're halfway there. It's getting tense.
Was this player's primary team that we would know them by in the Eastern Conference?
I don't believe there's a primary team you would know them by. There's no one iconic team. So that kind of answers your question.
Okay, he was a journeyman.
I don't want to answer that, so I'll go ahead. I won't count that against you.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, cool. We got our question back.
Well, if that's the case, then we should.
If I had to pick one, we'll count it.
We're taking the question back. We're taking the question
no, because if I had to pick one, there is one team that's the most iconic, I guess, and it's in the West.
Okay.
It wasn't the most amount of time, but it was the most famous that he's on.
I want to take a shot in the dark, Donovan. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know if I want to.
Go ahead.
Because is this player a meme?
I wouldn't say he's a meme.
Okay. Oh, I have one name that's kind of coming to mind right now.
You have 3 questions left.
Yeah, we shot off 7 already. Okay.
Hey,
3 questions. Don't fold.
Do you want to use these 3 shooting off these names, Donovan, or do you want to get off one more question where we ask something nitty and gritty?
Do
you want to ask what position they are? Either.
No, because I think backcourt is good enough. Let me see.
3 questions.
Has this player ever scored 50 points in a game?
I don't know. I would assume not, but let me see.
It's if no all-star.
I had a name in mind.
You're thinking
no, he's not scored. He has not scored 50.
Damn, we might be.
That's a hilarious question.
Yeah, I think you just fried us, Donovan. You just fried us.
You better clutch it up. That was dumb. You better clutch it up.
I was thinking it was Jamal Crawford.
That's not a bad. That's not a. Okay, I see what you're cooking.
Okay.
I see how your brain got there. That makes sense.
Okay, by detailing off of Isaac's reaction to that, it sounds like a player of Jamal Murray's or Jamal Crawford's ethos. Similar range.
Not what that word means. Go for it.
You're rude. You're rude.
2 questions left. You guys are fucked.
I know. We have really one question before we have to take a guess.
Dude, this might be the first loss. We've never seen a 20 questions loss.
First of all, we've never lost 20 questions. We might lose 10 questions.
It's embarrassing. I mean, me personally, I'd never let that happen.
Okay, this is a pretty obscure player.
Do you want to ask if they're like a shooter or a defender or something like that? Because they're clearly a role player, so we have to narrow it down to something that we know them by.
Damn, bro.
Come on.
I feel like I just really okay. I think I really want to know.
Come on.
Ask whatever you want to ask. Just
we have 2 more questions left.
I know. Whatever you want to ask it.
Has this player has this player averaged more than 10 points per game?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what you waste. God, you guys are sucking at this.
Go ahead.
Who is
I know
this?
this is. Is this Lou Williams?
This is not Lou Williams. You guys lose. This is JJ Redick.
Okay. That's fair.
Damn.
That's fair.
I knew it was some type of like online presence.
Gotcha.
Damn.
All right. Well,
Not wildly off though. Not
I guess
wildly
that's
off.
it.
The first loss.
Jamal.
And that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
If people are still here, you guys should comment. How do I want to phrase this? How should I have you guys be mean to Mo and Donovan for losing?
Mean
on,
to
man.
Mo and Donovan is hilarious. How should they be mean to Isaac? God damn it.
Comment.
How should
It
they
smells
mean
like
to
shit in here.
Isaac, bro? That's a real question right there. That's the real question.
Comment whatever you want. Just be mean to them for losing the first game of 10 questions.
Come on now.
Yeah, man. We'll see y'all next week.